Welcome back, everybody, to Runeterra Rising. We are finally nearing the end of the line and through this long and grueling season. But while we've seen two of our grand finals decided, we've got one more. This is a huge match. If Shurima win, the Demacians are the champions. If Piltover wins, it goes to the middle third place match to decide who's the champion between Piltover and Demacia. It's been quite the rocky journey, and my goodness, do we have some fireworks to close it out. I am so excited for this grand final. I'm your caster, Shadow Dollar. Joined alongside me is my lovely co-caster. How are you doing today?
Hello. Well, as you just said, there's an absolute fireworks show of some matches that we're going to be having at the very end here, and I am so excited to be seeing all these matches going on. I am Cinco. I forgot to say my name. Oops.
Fair enough. I mean, my goodness, when this format was created with the whole championship and everything for each region, you could only hope it turned out coming down to the wire like this. I mean, if you are this Piltover side, you know this game means a lot more than just a championship. And I gotta ask you, Cinco, do you think that adds some extra stress onto the players, or is this just more fire in the furnace for them?
I mean, I do obviously think there is going to be some more stress going into it, but at the exact same time, with the plays that we've been seeing, there's the two absolutely gargantuan teams throughout this whole entire tournament. Both Mage Haters and the Piltover team have been churning out impressive play after impressive play, so I think that this is going to be something. This is something where it is going to be insane.
It is going to be absolutely insane, and I'm so excited for it. A best of 5 to determine the title, but not just your title, but the championship title. I mean, again, if Piltover win it here, it's not done. You then need your team in the third place middle bracket match to also win. And I mean, my goodness, it's definitely got to add an additional layer of stress to things, as you know that you've got so many people counting on you and so many people preying on your downfall. But I mean, all we can do is sit and wait to get into the draft, as I'm just so excited for this. It's the lower bracket. There's always some chaos, always some shenanigans. But I gotta ask you, with lower bracket, do you think that these bans are more going to go towards maybe the top threats in the meta game, or is this going to be champions you hate to see in the lane, or maybe just some picks against that will take out some counters to the comp you want to bring?
I mean, so far throughout lower bracket, we've been seeing a lot of just target bans for the strongest players on each team, and I think we're just going to see that trend continuing, even though yeah, you can have counters that obviously you do want to ban out. I feel like in lower bracket, champion mastery matters a lot more than anything else. If you have one person who sat there absolutely destroying it on their champ, you know, they could probably run a wrecking ball through the whole team.
Yeah, and the thing is also the champion pools are not as deep in the lower bracket, and that's something you must keep in mind, is that fact. So yes, there may be the Azir counter pick on the board, but your opponent may not have any clue how to play that, and it's lower bracket. You don't want to hand the car keys to the slightly drunk person and say hopefully they drive well. It's definitely interesting since it's lower bracket, but I mean, I can't wait to get into the games. I'm so excited for this. Just the stress of knowing it's all on you to really bear the torch for your team and for your region. It's honestly, I love the competitive stress, but my goodness, is it taxing. So we're gonna have to see what these players' mental fortitude looks like.
Of course. But okay, a question for you though: what are the players on each team that you are like? If you had to pick one player from each team that you are really looking out for, who would they be?
I'm always looking at the mid lane. I think the mid lane's so important. Obviously, it can be a high priority lane for ganking, everything like that. But the thing is, when it comes to team fights, being able to press a few buttons and someone's dead is so important. Yes, the ADC feels great when they're ahead, everything like that. But the thing is, they take some time to get the kills. I think it's so important for any mid laner to be having a good game, a good series, and that way you have that secondary win condition. But also, you can say the jungle's really important. We know how influential the jungle gets, and so I really want to see good jungle play here. We're recovering for our lanes, we're matching the other jungler, we're getting advantages. I think mid and jungle are honestly my favorite lanes to watch.
I mean, you do make a fairly good point there, but for me, I'm a filthy top main, right? I'm always just staring at these top matchups, trying to find out, right, how's it gonna be? Because it's just those top matchups where, you know, one thing goes wrong, your whole entire lane starts to spiral. You have the other lanes, you have jungle, you know, you can come back a little bit. You give a top laner a bit too much leeway, and you are not touching that wave for the next 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, that is true. But the other thing is, top can turn out to just be, I like to call it a fist fight at the bar. Nobody wins, and eventually the cops come and drag you out of there. The cops being the junglers. I'm expecting a lot of fist fights up there in the top lane, and I'm curious if we are going to see the more carry champions or the tanks, because obviously it can completely change the outcome of these team fights, and I'm especially excited for the team fights. There's always some shenanigan going on with lower bracket team fights, man. Whether that's someone's walking away, we're not all on the same page or whatever, there's always something going on, and so it's going to be really fun to watch.
And of course it is, but I honestly think in the top lane, right, I have a feeling that we might be getting some more carry-based picks just from, like, you know, BMW M3's, like, champ pool. We see Renekton, Darius, Pantheon, all very skirmishing heavy champions. And then obviously you also have Kyle in the top lane for Piltover. Oh, Kyle's in the jungle.
Yeah. I honestly, I mean, as much as we talk about these players, it comes down to the team fights at the end of the day. I think the team fights are so important, and I think honestly the most underrated thing is communication, especially in the lower bracket. I've seen a lot of teams not be on the same page, whether that's target selection, whether that's when we're fighting, things like that. And so I really want to see some good communication, because when there's not good communication, your day's never going to be finished in a good way.
Yeah, that is a fair point, and that's why, I mean, that's also why lower bracket is so fun to watch, you know? You might have a team leading by a huge amount, but then, you know, one bad fight, one bad flip, that's all what lower bracket's all about.
Yeah, that is true. And I've seen some wild comebacks, down 10k gold, one team fight, and it's over because communication just wasn't there. I've seen some backdoors where no one was paying attention. I definitely need to see a different story here from those if this is going to go either team's way.
I mean, lower bracket is where it always happens. The T1 flips, we like to call them.
True. And ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get into the draft. The season all comes down to this for both of these teams, all that they've worked for. It's time to find out who is going to be the champion of the lower bracket. And already we see some interesting bans here from both sides.
Yeah, so looking at the bans in the first banning phase, For Heimerding, we have a Darius ban, Talia ban, and a Poppy ban right here. So really, that Darius ban is. I mean, obviously, I'm not very surprised by Darius or Talia getting banned by Heimerding.
Yeah.
Poppy, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about the champ pools on Absolute Shurima, but
Yeah, and
I think
interesting
Expert
starting
can also
picks.
play a lot of Poppy.
Yeah, and some interesting starting picks. I'm enticed by the first pick Skarner. The Trundle in response makes some sense. My thing is though, Skarner doesn't always stack a lot of armor. He's more of a health scaling champion. And then the Ziggs, that could go into middle or ADC. So I'm going to have to wait and see where it goes. But Azeri as well. So some hyper scaling for Heimerding Dong.
I mean, yeah, but looking over back onto Shurima's draft here, we've seen just 2 picks that are just complete flexes. They, as you said, Ziggs could be going into bot lane or mid lane, but Trundle could also just be going into jungle or top lane. So really keeping Heimerding on their toes and not really letting them know where people are going with these first picks, just making sure no counters happen this early.
Yeah, and then the Syndra blind pick in the mid lane. One of the safest blind picks in mid lane, if not the safest, and just all around a strong champion. She's got good disengage or scatter the weak, and so not surprised to see it come out here in the game 1, but the Bard was something that was to be forewarned about, as I believe it's that Expert has a near 100% competitive win rate on the Bard. Honestly, I was shocked to not see it banned, and it comes out here.
I mean, Expert's always going to have a great game whenever Bard comes out here. I guarantee to you, in the drafting, they saw no Bard ban. He was like, give me that!
Yeah. Also, we will get predictions up shortly for you guys to gamble your points. But we're seeing a lot of top lane bans here. It seems like the thought is this Trundle probably is going into the jungle, which honestly, I'd be shocked to see it go top. But keep in mind, with the Ziggs picked, it could go into the Syndra, although I don't think that is a favorable matchup.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm fairly certain that this Ziggs will be going into the bot lane just because of the fact that you don't particularly want to pick your mid laner that early, especially when the mid laner just has a lot of agency all across the map. You kind of want someone that goes well against a lot of the enemy champs. So I'd be surprised to see this Ziggs inside of the mid lane, but we do see the Mundo pick from Absolute Shurima.
It is actually going to be Trundle top. I'd be shocked if this was Mundo top. I prefer Mundo in the jungle. Oh, that's interesting. I have not studied Trundle top in a while, and the Alawi will come out in response, and that's going to be a brutal top lane now for Absolute Shurima. I love seeing Alawi picks. She is honestly one of the strongest top laners into tanks, but people are like, oh, I don't want to play her. She's scary to play. But it's just such a good champion. Also, gambling is live now, so make sure to put your points on the line if you think you know who's going to win.
Of course, and, you know, I'm always into a little bit of gambling here, so, yeah.
The Morgana.
We do see the Morgana pick, so we're getting a Zeri Morgana bot lane versus most likely a Ziggs and Bard.
Yeah, and we're waiting to see what this last pick is.
Nope,
and
never mind.
Caitlyn, the Ziggs will go into the middle, and honestly,
right, we were completely wrong. There's the Caitlyn. There's the Caitlyn in mid.
Yeah, I think the Caitlyn pick is the right choice. Don't tell me this is a Caitlyn mid. No,
This is the
no,
Caitlyn in
no.
mid lane. Let's
no,
go!
No,
Yeah!
Put
That's
the
what I like to
Caitlyn
see.
in the bot lane. No,
That's what I like
was
to
told there was
see.
LBS.
These
No,
ADCs
put
into
the
other
Caitlyn in the
lanes.
bot lane. No, she's supposed to go bot lane.
That is what I like to see.
Here's all my research right here. Here's all the research I've done. Out the window. Man, I hope that didn't break when I threw it across the room. All my research out the window. My goodness, it's the lower bracket for a reason. This one's gonna be spicy. Ziggs in the bot lane, Caitlyn in the middle. Maybe a little bit of a roll swap. Maybe a little bit of getting lost on the rift. Who knows? And it looks like it will actually be Trundle in the jungle. The thing is, the Alawi matchup is terrible for both Mundo and Trundle. And honestly, this Trundle feels out of place here. Who are you really stealing armor from? Yes, it'll make it a lot easier to kill these squishy targets, but you do not have a great target for it except really the Skarner. And so this will definitely be an interesting one. I cannot wait to see how this goes. I gotta ask you, whose draft are you favoring here?
Well, in all honesty, I do think Heimer Ding Dong does just have the stronger draft. It's a very, very common front-to-back draft where you're going to be playing these team fights a little bit slower, looking to have all these squishy champs behind this Alawi, the Skarner, and really just war of attritioning through all of your team fights. Whereas it looks like for Absolute Shurima, this is really just going to be a team comp where can they isolate someone, get them killed, and make an unfair team fight to begin with?
Yeah, and the thing is, what's going to make the team fight unfair is this Alawi. This is going to be brutal for either the Mundo or the Trundle to really walk through, and it's a big reason why I prefer Heimer Ding Dong's draft here, is because the Alawi is going to be so strong. The Zarya and Morgana, I do not know how they lane into the Bard and Ziggs, but I believe this will be earlier priority for Heimer Ding Dong in the mid lane, and it'll eventually shift over to Absolute Shurima as Morgana starts off as a bit of a lane bully, but it'll definitely be interesting to see how that goes. And then mid lane, I don't know how the matchup goes. In the jungle, I mean, this Trundle and Skarner are both going to want to gank early.
I mean, specifically looking into this top lane matchup, I actually don't think that's all that bad for Mundo, especially with the way that Alawi likes to play. It's kind of just push, keep on perma-pushing, having your tentacles there. You're constantly pushing the wave back into this Mundo. That's exactly what this Mundo wants. The Mundo will eventually outscale this Alawi 100% and have a lot more impact in the team fights, and is also just a better split pusher as well once he gets to those spikes. Alawi does have a lot more threat in the early to mid game, but you're kind of just feeding the Mundo. So yes, you're feeding the Mundo XP if you do set up your two tentacles and try to pressure him under turret.
Yeah.
So I do think the longer this game goes on, yes, you do have Syndra scaling, yes, you do have Zeri scaling, but over on Absolute Shurima, you have a Mundo, you have a Caitlyn, and for all of us low elo players, we've seen the 45-minute Caitlyn. Oh, sniping your head off from halfway across the screen.
Yeah, that one is not the most fun of times. But honestly, my other thing about Alawi is, I mean, as a low rank player myself, and as someone who plays with a lot of low ranks, not everyone knows how to play against Alawi. But I will tell you, as someone who's watched this matchup and played it on the side of Mundo, it is brutal at the start. Mundo will outscale, but the question is how long will it take as we get into
all of
this.
Mundo's matchups. That's all of Mundo's matchups. He gets obliterated early.
That is true. But as we get into this, welcome to the lower bracket grand finals. Both of these teams have fought oh so hard to get here, and finally, the train is coming to its last stop. The question is, Who will get off the train as champions? It's time to find out, as it's Absolute Shurima versus Heimer Ding Dong. Game 1 is underway.
Right, and just to point out a few things, right, we have both junglers pathing in opposite directions here. Whereas Trundle is looking to path downwards, we have Skarner pathing up towards the Alawi. And that's going to make life even more difficult for this Mundo. Mundo already can't really fight this Alawi early, but the fact that this Skarner is pathing upwards, it makes it hard to be this Mundo right now.
Yeah, and I will also say in the top lane, just looking at some of the summoner spells, it's Ignite and Flash versus Teleport and Ghost. And I didn't get to see some of the others, but it's it's actually triple teleport on the side of Absolute Shurima, with only one teleport on the side of Heimer Ding Dong, which means they're gonna have to be very careful about their map positioning, as in the bot lane it's Exhaust versus Ignite, and that exhaust will be very helpful for later on in the team fights with keeping the Morgana and her ult at bay.
Yeah, of course. And just looking at some of these rune pages immediately, right? We do have a fight going on inside of the mid lane. A gank really early onto the Syndra, and it looks like Syndra burns the flash, but is just not able to get out in time there. Unfortunate for Syndra, making the rest of this lane a little bit harder to play without that flash now.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, for level 100 Magikarp, the good news at least is that it went onto the Trundle, not the Caitlyn, but Center was one auto attack away from dying, and just an unfortunate timing as he didn't want to flash the pillar. And that's the thing I am going to look for, is these guys knowing how to bait the Trundle pillar. I do play a lot of Trundle jungle, and when guys don't know how to bait the pillar, makes life so much easier. So that's going to be a really important focal point, is do these pillars land?
Yeah, of course. And looking here now, we have Mundo, as I was saying, this Skarner pathing up into Mundo, and it's just rough, right? There's not much you can do in the early game to threaten Alawi, so, you know, either you let that wave crash into you and you get dove, or you try to fight it out. And it looks like he chose to fight it out to no success.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just one of the worst matchups for Mundo early on in the top lane. And I am curious to see if he knows the matchup well. You have to keep in mind this Mundo was picked in the back half of the draft after knowing there was an Alawi. And so that definitely, I mean, it means that, hey, they either said, I don't know how to play into Alawi, I'm gonna just pick something that scales for the late game, or, hey, I feel comfortable enough in this matchup.
Yeah, fair. But looking at the rune pages, do you notice anything?
Don't ask.
To notice a little, to notice a little first strike from Caitlyn here. I can already tell the build. I can tell you what this build is, and I love it.
I don't know rune pages. Don't ever ask me rune pages.
Money printer Caitlyn in the mid lane right now.
Oh.
Yep, there is triple tonic, cashback, first strike. Money printer Caitlyn with the 75% crit chance, Gamba headshot. Oh, I love it. And already making good use of that ult just for the poke damage and getting that first strike proc off.
That's gonna make it interesting indeed. Oh man, as you can see,
we do see an invade. Yeah,
yeah,
just what I was about to comment on.
Take the chickens away. And the thing I will point out is that the Trundle will clear faster than the Skarner, and that's something you have to keep in mind, is that it's going to be a bit difficult for Pizza Kyle to match the pace of Center.
Yeah, of course. But it looks like in the mid lane we have Trundle once again going on to the mid laner, making sure that it's just hard for this mid laner to play with 3 people on top. Going for the dive again. Once again, unfortunate for Magikarp. But
Yeah,
that does
he
leave
just wasn't
Drake
ready for the Bard.
uncontested. That does leave the Drake uncontested, but they did not get it for free. Their mid laner had to suffer for it.
Yeah, and so far the idea has just been put Magikarp down and it's working. And the thing is that, I mean, Magikarp didn't even use his ult. I think he thought he was out and didn't realize that the Bard was showing up. And that's why warding around this mid lane is going to be really important for keeping Magikarp alive here.
Yeah. But realistically, they have... I mean, there was honestly just no way of really knowing that was about to happen to Magikarp. You'd assume that the Trundle would be somewhere inside of the bot side looking to steal or contest the Drake. But that's the fun of lower bracket. You know, screw the Drake. Let's kill this guy.
Yeah, and now I'm gonna look for Heimer Ding Dong to get the Drake stacking going. I think the Drake stacking is very important, and it's something I highly prioritize in my matches. And so I wonder what we're gonna see based around that.
He's so able to dodge the
wants the gank here, but no, he's gonna have to cover for his mid laner. But Pizza Kyle's just gonna go down, and Magikarp is rooted up by Expert, and with the exhaust, Magikarp is gonna go down as well, and it's a double kill in the mid lane.
Oh, you just hate to see a mid lane just constantly being threatened by gank after gank from both the support and the jungler. And yikes, it's just putting Katito just so far ahead at this point. And Katito probably one of the better players on the Shuriman team. You do not want to see gold on that Caitlyn.
Yeah, Cap Bandito is having himself a time already. 3-0-1 with almost a 2,000 gold lead. And the thing is, you're just not finding a lead like that anywhere else in response. You really haven't found anything in response to the mid ganks besides just the one Drake. And if your opponents are going to be perma-ganking mid lane, first, Magikarp needs to play a lot safer. Second, you need to make sure you're getting something back for it.
Right, but yeah, as you said, we need to be getting a lot more back for the amount of deficit that the mid lane is currently in, because yes, getting the Drake stacking nice and early is very nice and all, but at the same time, if your mid laner isn't strong enough, you're not going to be able to contest maybe this third, fourth Drake. And your early Drakes are really just going to play to stall, especially with how well the Mundo does scale into this late game, and they are going to make sure they took the Drake, we're getting these Void Grubs, which is devastating as well because of that Mundo on the enemy team, this Caitlyn, both people who are just already turret shredders, now getting even more. And a Ziggs, yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously a really big tool to pick up. And right now, if you're Shurima, you got to be feeling happy with this early game. 1.3k gold lead. I mean, the majority of that coming from mid. But right now, I mean, the picks are just working. And we can see why this Bard is so feared from Expert. Again, I'm honestly shocked it was not banned out. And I think they're kind of suffering for it already.
Yeah, just the rotations from Bard have just been allowing them to punish the mid lane so much harder than, you know, if there was any other support. So yeah, I am also surprised that this Bard has been allowed to go through.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Morgana just doesn't have the same ganking capabilities almost, or at least not the same movement abilities, and so it's a lot harder to and get something back as this Morgana when you have the Bard running around across the map.
Of course. But looking over into this top lane, we do see, yes, there is a, 22 CS lead for the Alawi and a kill, but realistically, against Mundo, you want to be putting him really far behind. And the main, most important factor here is the fact that the gold lead is there, the XP lead is not in the top lane, both level 9. If you're not able to put this Mundo down, the moment he hits level 11, pretty sure Mundo's ult gets stronger than Alawi's.
Yeah, I'm honestly shocked that there's not a bigger gap both in CS and gold and level. It's honestly, this matchup should be going a lot better for Uncle Isma, and we're not seeing it. And finally getting some more big time damage off, but over in this bot side, this Drake's just gonna go over for free as Pizza Kyle wanted a gank.
Painful Drake to lose. That is a painful Drake to be losing there. Cloud Drake, not the soul, but oof, hurts to not have that 5% speed bonus when it is available, especially with somebody like Mundo. Ocean Soul too, just oof. This game...
Yeah, the Ocean Soul is gonna be rough. Oh, Magikarp flashes the stun, but gets stunned
flashes
anyways,
out.
But the flash
Once again, the Bard just permanently inside. The Bard just permanently inside of the mid lane. It has to feel bad, knowing as well that this Ziggs is not getting punished for all of these roams from Bard. It would be one thing if, yes, your mid laner's dying, but, you know, the Ziggs is alone, and your Zeri Morgana are constantly farming him. But they're not, and I think that's what they were planning on when picking the Ziggs. Having this Bard just allowed to roam and Ziggs be allowed to pressure the wave from oh so far away. I feel like this must have just been their game plan from the start.
Potentially, but I gotta ask you, when you have a mid laner is having this rough of a time, what do you need to do to get them back into the game?
I mean, at this point, you don't particularly want to be playing for your mid lane anymore. Your mid lane has already fallen so far behind. We have the ult going out from Alawi with the Caitlyn throwing out the ult as well to get a little bit more damage, but because of Alawi's ult, she's just healing so much. But here we have Cat Bandito back inside of the top lane as well. 4 people on top of this Alawi with the exhaust going out. It looks like, you know, Alawi popped the ult, but it's just too little, too late, with a whole entire team basically rotating onto Uncle Isma here. Unfortunate, especially with the fact that we're seeing Mundo get closer and closer to that spike, that Warmog spike with the triple belt already out. I'm pretty sure that if he's able to get a turret plating, I think he's sitting on a Warmogs in base.
Yeah, he's backing now, which means he probably does have it, and right now, I mean, it's a 2.1k gold lead, but it feels like this game's gone a lot worse than that for the side of Piltover.
He does not have Warmogs just yet, so he has to get through maybe 2 more rotations of pushing and receiving waves to get that Warmogs, I'd reckon. But yeah, I don't think Alawi has room to play the moment that Warmogs is down. We do see Trundle contesting a lot, some vision control getting hit by that Morgana Q, but it doesn't look like they want to go for more, especially with Caitlyn roaming down here. Oof, already.
Yeah, and this ace in the hole
that Caitlyn ult doing so much damage.
Ooh, they want to turn dive this as
they got the turn.
Ardo goes on and is dead. Oh my goodness, what is going on? This is just a collapse from Heimer Ding Dong.
As I was saying before, this team really focuses on catching people out. They've not had any big team fights or anything yet over Drakes or nothing like that. But what they have constantly been doing has been pressuring these picks. If anybody's ever out of position, if they ever have an opportunity for it, you best believe they're gonna go for it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just not many of the lanes have been going well, as there's trouble in the bot lane. Pizza Kyle trying to keep Center off of Ozzy, but the Morgana ultimate finally going to be popped, but he's just dead. And now Center's going to be pulled under the turret, taking a turret shot, and he's finally going to be able to go down. But Kevin trying to dash out of this one, pops the barrier. It's not enough, as Cat Bandito flash forward. Wasn't enough though. Magikarp is here, but the problem is it's not the lowest of health bars to really work against. Scatter the weak lands onto Cat Bandito, and he's going to be able to take him down, as it's finally a shutdown from the Caitlyn, but Expert picks up the kill onto the Syndra.
What a fight that just happened inside of the bot lane, erupting out of seemingly nowhere. Oof. With this turret being so low, Mundo really wants to push the... Ooh, Alawi missing that E. If she got that E off, it could have been really good. Mundo just trying to make sure that that turret stays alive, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to do it. He's going to have to pop his ult and most likely just get away here. Redemption.
Yeah, and I mean, just nothing's really going right for Heimer Ding Dong, and I'm honestly shocked. I thought based on this draft it would go better than this, but just the usage of the Caitlyn has been absolutely phenomenal, and she's up to 5-1 now with 2 items, and it's going to be really brutal trying to fight her in team fights.
But it looks like we are positioning here to take the Drake, and as I was talking about before, you may have that early Drake, but Caitlyn is so unbelievably fed at this point that, you know, walking up here is a little bit dangerous, especially with Caitlyn actually missing a lot of that, but immediately getting chunked. Immediately, the Syndra gets chunked down. Center caught out a little bit, making it so that this Drake goes over to the Demacian team, and they took that Drake and they do not want to fight anymore. Looks like Expert's looking for a little bit of a chase onto the Skarner. But no, they're not going to be able to chase hard enough to catch anyone out. So yeah,
and there's
like we were saying, these teams...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like we were saying, these teams are good at 2 different things, and we've just seen a prime example of it. Even though things feel really rough for the Heimer Ding Dong, it's just the moment that they've been put into a team fight, they were able to, you know, push out, have their tanks in front. The Caitlyn didn't have access to the people who she wanted to be shooting.
Well, the crazy thing is Absolute Shurima had the team fight. They landed the Mega Inferno Bomb onto 4, and they were all low HP, but nobody wanted to go in. And then Center just went in while his team was backing off, and that was how he died. And the miscommunication and that I pointed out in the pregame comes through. And honestly, I mean, Absolute Shurima, they could have gone for a bit more. I'm a bit shocked that they didn't.
I mean, yeah, as you just said, miscommunication. It felt really out of place for... I mean, it felt really out of place for them to walk away from the Drake pit so aggressively to begin with, especially after seeing that Ziggs all go out. But we do see Bard going in, hitting the ult onto Syndra. Are they going to be able to capitalize on it? Cat Bandito pushing up a little bit, getting traps down, getting a little bit of damage onto the Skarner, but alas, nothing comes from it, and they've just been able to secure the Rift Herald by keeping the Skarner at bay.
Yeah, and the ace in the hole damage is really starting to rack up onto Magikarp, as now we can see what Isma can do with this damage, and you can see that, I mean, immediately BMW just needs to back off, and that's the scary thing about the Alawi, but she just has a big lead now, and it feels even better, especially when you can catch Expert roaming like this, and the teammates show up just in time to watch his body fall to the floor, as the Rift Herald will be summoned up bot side, and now it's just the bot lane to defend against 3. Magikarp is rotating down to try to help out, but this Rift Herald will get a lot of damage down onto the turret, and the question is, does Center want a little bit more? He wants to go for the chase down, but he's unable to, as BMW and Isma are scrapping again in the top side, but looks like someone tried to use the Herald as a battle Herald and completely whiffed.
I mean, hey, it's my favorite way to use the Herald. I'm not gonna put anyone down for being a little battle Herald. This is interesting from Mundo. Mundo has the Warmogs. Why are you not just sitting back to let yourself heal up?
Greediness, apparently, as now Isma will be able to back away for free. And the thing is, honestly, we've seen the double ignite taken from the side of Heimerdinger, but what I'd like to point out is it doesn't feel like the ignites have really been properly used. But now, honestly, look at the gold lead. It's down from 2K. It still is 1K, but when you look, the ADC and top lane just have such an advantage that it's starting to negate some of the Caitlyn's item lead.
I mean, yeah, of course, but see, the thing is, we do just have a ticking time bomb in the... We have two ticking time bombs inside of this game, this Caitlyn and this Zeri, and I feel like both the Caitlyn and Zeri are about equal in strength when they both get to, like, full items, so it's really just going to be... If this does end up going into the late game, who is it that's going to be playing it better? And it looks like Mundo really wants to cross this way with 4 people up in the top lane looking for the dive onto Alawi, being able to dodge that E, making sure that she does not get another soul, and it looks like Alawi's just going to be sitting back and watching this turret fall.
Yeah, and you can see how rapidly it goes down, even with the buff protection for there being multiple members, as Magic quite wasn't looking at his screen, I guess, but Guma is going to be in some trouble, and the flash burned is going to make it so it's a lot harder to contest this Drake. And the Mundo will teleport in. Hold on a second. Shurima absolutely wants to fight this. Bardol going to be used to pause the Drake just for a little bit. And Magikarp's on the front line, on the wrong side of history. He takes a chunk of damage, and the blue team's going to be able to steal the Drake away. The problem is the front line is there, but Pizza Kyle's just getting absolutely shredded. BMW's still alive. Uncle Isma just cannot find him, and the fight falls apart for the side of Piltover.
What a turn of events after initially we saw Piltover having complete control over having complete control over this Drake, that Bardol coming through, pausing it, and just allowing the rest of the team to get there in time to put down all their damage, show them that, you know, you may have won the last team fight, but we're not letting you get away with it this time. And it looked like that goal lead will be creeping right back up, and I have a creeping suspicion over the next 3 minutes of Baron, it's going to climb even higher, and they're going to convert what was not just a Drake, an amazing team fight in Drake, into a Baron as well.
Yeah, and the thing is now nothing's really going right for the side of Piltover. And the one thing that was going right was if you were able to stack the Drakes, but the Bard Ultimate came in clutch, and just Magikarp was just not in the right position. I mean, he got surprised that there was a Mundo sitting there, and then Isma getting over aggressive, and it felt like the team was just not on the same page. I mean, members were backing off while others were going forward, and it's how the jungle and top laners died. So you need to really communicate better here for these team fights.
We do see, you know, a little bit of grouping inside of the bot lane, and some light trading happening, forcing Ozzy just to back off with Caitlyn's monstrous damage already, with 3 items now and upgraded Swifties. You know, I'm personally a connoisseur of this Caitlyn build. I play it in top lane all the time. I absolutely love it. The Hubris, Collector, LDR, IE, and now I think it's Voltaic. You know, if your headshot crits, that's one person dead immediately, and I'm praying we get to see this build at that point.
Yeah, we just might, as Captain Dito's doing a lot of damage, but they do get the root onto him, and then they're gonna be drowned. What? What is going on? How have they done this?
Seeing that Morgana Q just about clip Caitlyn, and seeing Skarner just immediately say, yup, that's our time to go in. Goes in, gets the R off, hold Caitlyn in place. It is devastating to see.
Absolutely beautiful. And you said you wanted to see the headshot, but looked like he got headshot, as BMW is going to come down here. A black spell shield is going to be used, but it can't protect from too much of the damage from the Q.
It's unfortunate, as we do see a little bit of grouping onto the Mundo. Looks like they do really want to take this turret, but With Mundo defending it, it might be a little bit dangerous to go for.
Yeah, and as this goes on, I mean, you said that you expected there to be a much bigger gold lead than 3,000 after the Baron. The lead's 1.7.
All falling apart. All falling apart.
Yeah.
Hey, but let's not forget.
And now.
Let's not forget, though, the person who does have the Baron still is Resident Push. All right. So let's not discredit it just yet. Baron ain't over yet. Okay, well.
Baron did just expire.
Well. Damn. I got excited for no reason. My bad. We do see a little bit of grouping onto this Mundo once again. But Mundo is able to spot them out and... Oh, I'm so sorry. You go on. You go on.
No, I was just gonna say, Resident Push did close the gold gap, which is really important, because that was the kind of other lane where Heimer Ding Dong really wanted to be winning in. But the thing is, Express just gonna be blown up, and TP committed and then canceled out. I believe Gumasushi interrupted the TP from Isma, but the next Drake is coming up, and so. That's definitely going to be something you want to contest, and you don't even have your support.
Aussie. These Qs are deadly. I feel like this Morgana pick is just absolutely shredding apart their team right now, because if a single one of these Qs land, it's just, you have a Syndra, you have a Zeri, you have a Skarner to lock them down. It's just all going to go wrong, and as we see a fight go off inside of the bot river for the Drake, we see Center take out the Zeri absolutely immediately, and Magikarp also is just going to be going down because this Trundle and Mundo are just able to be on top of them. Skarner trying to make sure that Mundo does not get onto the Morgana, but yep, there comes our push music. It looks like Morgana is just about going to get out, but here Expert Boga is back, and it looks like Mundo's just going to be playing here to zone off the rest of this team. Give his team a little bit more time to play with this Skarner. A TP coming in from Gumasushi. And what initially looked like quite a bad fight for them to be taking is now turned a little bit. But alas, the Drake is still up. We might see more fighting over it in the future.
Yeah, nobody's looking to take it yet, but the thing is, that play all becomes possible for Shurima thanks to Gumasushi, because he interrupted Isma's teleport to the bot lane, which would have completely flipped that fight and actually would have made it unfightable. But now everybody's going to position around this Drake. The problem is you cannot let your carries get caught. If they're caught with the damage, it's going to be a lot of problems, and the problem is the Drake is already dead. BNW's on this front line, and he's going to look to go onto Kyle, and the thing is, Kyle's ultimate is just completely canceled, and there's a lot of damage onto all the carries. Ace in the hole is going to come out and is going to do a lot.
Gumasushi a little bit too far.
Of history though, and he's already dead. Pizza Kyle wants a little bit more, but cannot quite get them. They do not want to go for the chase down, and it's one life traded for the Drake.
I mean, all in all, considering how strong the team fights are from the Piltover side, it's... I mean, I wouldn't be too mad about that. I would not be too mad about that. One person dying for the sake of putting you onto Soul Point, forcing another fight on this next Drake. Looks like Zeri might be getting caught out here, though, popping the ult to try to get away, and the barrier as well, but unfortunately, they're just out of position. With the Trundle putting down a beautiful pillar to slow her down, there's just not much that she can do to get out with the E already gone.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just not seeing enough respect for this Trundle pillar. I'm a little bit confused why it's not being respected more, as it's just time after time members are getting caught by it and have no response to get out of there. I mean, Kevin did not have his flash, but he could have tried to dash over the wall and just didn't.
I mean, I think this Trundle pillar, just like you said, isn't being respected enough. Trundle pillar is honestly just because people don't see a CC bar above their health bar, they just think of it as, oh, I'm slowed for a tad bit, but that slow is serious. And this gold lead has just once again grown up to 3k, but we haven't really seen it. We haven't really seen it pass 4k yet, and you know, games start being considered to be unrecoverable around about 6k. So you know, we could still see this gold lead absolutely flip on more fights, but we do see them start up. We do see the Shuriman side start up the Baron to try to just sneak it under their nose, already on half HP, but here comes the rest of Demacia. Not Demacia, sorry. Piltover. We see the rest of Piltover come over.
The Bard ult missed. The Bard ult was a complete miss, and then Isma's gonna use his ultimate, not so much avail, but somehow no members die. The problem is BMW's got them put in a cage, but he has to open the door and let them out. And the thing is, just they relied so heavily on the Bard ult landing, and it was only Ozzy who took it. Also an early smite from the side of center.
That is heartbreaking to see. An absolutely phenomenal steal though from the Skarner. Just being able to use the tunneling to just about get over, and just in time there to take the Baron away. And honestly, in that one team fight, we have just seen the gold lead once again drop down to just a 7k gold lead for the Shuriman side here. 700.
Yeah, I cannot believe that. I'm honestly shocked that somehow Heimer Ding Dong have stayed in it. Credit to them, but the ace in the hole is going to come out over the top onto Magic Carpet, and Pizza Kyle is going to quickly go over the wall to keep Center at bay. Problem is experts here too. Do they want to go for a little bit more? No, they do not. But Ozzy's still here in this front line. He's just going to have to flash away, and BMW's on the backside. Magikarp uses his ultimate. He's going to be able to blow up Cat Bandito, and he goes into the stopwatch to stay alive. Ozzy popping the ultimate, not going to be enough. As Kevin DC's from the game. Center's on a rampage, and with the ultimate from the Bard, they will be able to back out of it.
A lot of tiptoeing around fights we're seeing here. Now I feel like Shuriman have started to piece it together. They know that, you know, the moment that these numbers are kind of evened up, they're going to have a harder time inside of these fights. So we're just seeing a lot of back and forth, in and out from the Shuriman side. And they're realistically looking for one person to make that fatal mistake and take that one step a bit too far.
Yeah, and now this could be the soul for the side of Shurima, or we get one more. We're gonna have to wait and find out, as everyone is positioning around this Drake. Excuse me. Cat Bandito gonna teleport in, so will the Syndra, and the Morgana just slowly walking her way back, but she is here. No,
I mean, just before the fight breaks
time
out
from BMW. Ace in the hole is gonna go through. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
Just before this fight breaks out, it does look like, you know, Shurimans have made a conscious effort to make sure that they have control over this river, and now they're really relying on Caitlyn being so strong in their Ziggs to get a lot of poke damage down before they commit to any of these fights. And we can just see that, you know, Mundo could have been going in, but at this point, you know, they still want to get a little bit more damage down. They want these carries to be a little bit lower, so we just keep on seeing poke fights and poke fights as the Drake does get started up, and it looks like Alawi is not going to go down. Alawi's going to pop the ult to stay in. Isma almost drops, but keyword almost, and it looks like they just aren't confident enough to face that 5v5 fight to go for the Drake. They're just going to hand it over, and honestly, I'd probably do the same. If you don't get enough poke damage down, you know, it's a little suicidal to walk into this 5v5.
Yeah, and the Skarner ult went wide. That would have been really bad if it landed. But now we've got 4 minutes until the soul fight. And I mean, the gold lead is back up to 2K. Every single time this gold lead starts to sway one direction, it sways right back the other way. The winds of warfare
and that Morgana Q forcing Caitlyn to flush out.
Yeah, and now Isma's going to be going all the way through. He's going to pop the stopwatch to avoid the Mega Inferno bomb. But the thing is Center and Co need to get out of here. Cat Bandito's almost dead. And Magikarp snipes him with the Scatter the Weak. Uncle Isma wants a little bit more as he's going to be able to take out Gumasushi. Rest of the team following through, and they do not want to let them escape. They know this is their go angle, but BMW takes the blast cone to safety, and somehow they get out, albeit limping.
I mean, see, this is the thing here, though. We've just seen over and over again. I mean, we're talking about this goal lead, right? It's only 1.3k, but if we're looking at each lane, where a lot of these differences are just concentrated is for the jungle, for mid, and for ADC. For the jungle and mid, it's heavily skewed towards the Shuriman side, but Zeri is just so unbelievably strong with nearly a 5k goal lead over Ziggs. Oof. And yeah, it's just been, in these fights, Caitlyn has not been given the opportunities to be dishing out damage, with a lot of the gold lead for Shuriman, concentrated on top of this Caitlyn. It feels like Caitlyn just hasn't had the opportunity to use it, either getting caught out from, slight overstepping, maybe playing a little bit too aggressive, maybe not. Yeah, and just looking at the gold graph between Caitlyn and Zeri, they're so unbelievably even in gold. It feels like if you are able to pick out Zeri, then the Shurimans are winning. If Caitlyn gets picked out like it looks like Caitlyn is about to right now, it's just gonna go over to Piltover.
And that may be the Baron as well. The Baron is on the table as Magikarp gets a stun, but Sensor's here on the front line looking for a little bit more, and the thing is he just doesn't do enough. And that's the thing.
And there's the TP from Alawi as well.
Yeah, this is just going to be the Baron. Hold on, BMW's teleporting into mid. They want to actually go for the inhibitor and try to get a little something back out of this, but Isma is wiser to it and is chasing them down and trying to stop this tier 3
could be catastrophic here if they go for it, but they know better. I mean, realistically, when the Caitlyn's already down, a lot of your gold is focused on top of this Caitlyn as well. You just don't have the opportunity to fight this team. With how much gold Zeri does have, you don't have the opportunity to fight the team. So obviously, yeah, going for the turrets, making sure your waves are pushed out, that's the best counterplay that you have for. That's the best counterplay you have for Baron. But Baron lasts quite a while, and now they're gonna have to probably defend a really strong push against the Baron. And for the first time in this game, we see the goal. Not the first time, we had a little bit at the very start of the game, but for quite a while, this is the first time we see the gold lead flip over to the Piltoves.
Absolutely, and you love to see it. You just maybe you didn't want to see it this late into the game. Maybe you would have loved to see your first gold lead come sooner, but that's besides the point. And the ward is going to be the biggest snitch in the prison yard, as it will tell them all about what's going on.
A little bush warfare going on, but Skarner a little bit,
and the thing is,
a little bit far up.
Use the ultimate, and the Bartle lands onto 2, but Sensor's already dead. And I mean, Pizza Kyle, it looks like he got a little bit over ambitious, but it's actually going to work out. But BMW looks for the chase down. Ozzy's going to have a difficult time, but the Scatter of the Week is massive from the side. Magikarp has been held down all game long, and finally he steps up in a biggest of moments, and that's going to be the Ocean Soul going over.
That is gonna be Ocean Soul going over. This is it's heartbreaking to see for the Shirimans, but I'd like to very quickly point out the Caitlyn build is in fact coming together. Did you see that crit headshot taking away half of her HP in one bullet? Oh.
Yeah, but the thing is with the Ocean Soul, you're gonna be able to heal it back.
Heal it all back so
soon.
quickly.
Yeah, and the thing is, I want to point this out. If this game keeps going, the Caitlyn's at full build. Except you have to remember that this is a mid lane Caitlyn and not an ADC Caitlyn. There is no 7th item. You've printed all the gold you want, and now any extra gold is just unnecessary. And so as we get later into the game, this gold lead on the Caitlyn is going to matter less and less.
Oh, it's just been absolutely devastating. They had such a good early as well. Shurima had such an amazing early to begin with, and they had so much of a goal lead, but it does look like they're able to take out Magikarp inside of this fight before it really breaks out, with a lot of the damage being gone. But everybody on Shuriman is so low, they don't particularly want to fight, and that's going to be Trundle going down as well, with the stopwatch being taken from Morgana to make sure that she does not get hit by the Bard. And we also just have an Alawi just pushing the side wave out, with Mundo sat back, not really trying to fight anything here, because the rest of his team isn't here. It's an Alawi. What is he gonna do?
Yeah, and I mean, just both of them at level 20, they both can do so much damage, but the Alawi just wins. And in that mid lane fight, I mean, yes, you did a great job to get Magikarp, but you just saw the response from the team when you cannot lock down the Zeri, how much damage she does as she's approaching 6 items. And I mean, this is just absolutely a precarious situation, because if Shurima can find the angle that they want and get an advantageous fight, it can look so good for them. But in the team fights, the side of Piltover will win.
I mean, that is the shortcoming of a team comp like this. If you're not able to find those picks, obviously they did find picks early. They were amazing at it early, but Piltover has been able to very, very, very quickly adapt against this team comp's playstyle. They've been grouping up. They've never been pushed out alone. The only people really pushed out alone has been this Alawi, but Alawi can stall for time for the rest of the team to get there. This Zeri, Morgana, Syndra have not been caught out since, I think, like minute 20, around about, was the last time I can remember any of them getting caught out. And when all of them are playing so unbelievably safe all together, it's hard for this team comp to sit there and say, oh yeah, let's just kill Syndra, let's just kill Zeri. Because if you want to get them, you got to get through 2 giants of Skarner and Alawi.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's just been masterful out of Isma and Kevin. I gotta say, Scatter of the Week will help out, and obviously the Scatter of the Weeks have been huge. Sensor wants a little bit of something, but just cannot quite find it. And like I was saying, it's been masterful play where they got to work. And I mean, yeah, the game did not start off well, but my goodness, have they been able to make it work. And now with Baron on the cards, you've got Soul coming up soon. I mean, any fight could be the last.
Yeah, I mean, see, this river control is just being given over to the Piltovers, and already they have such good team fights that you don't really want to give them this river control, because that's what guarantees that they all get to play together. There's not really a chance to walk up here. Cat Bandito is looking for, some poke down, and there goes, such a huge amount of damage being done by the Ziggs ult, but
just dead.
Unfortunately, it's all for naught. You can have all the poke in the world, but You can have all the
Yeah,
poke in the world, but if you have a team that, you know, at a moment's notice can flip around, grab you out, hit a Morgana Q, hit a Scatter the Weak, get Skarner going after somebody, it's so dangerous to walk up to try to poke this team.
Yeah, and you did good to get the health bars low, but again, there's just no go button, and that was one of my concerns with the comp, is there's not a great form of engage. You really only have the Bard ult and the Trundle pillar, and so it's just really tough for Shurima to start these fights on the team fighting aspect of it. And now with the Baron empowered waves going to be pushing it out, the thing is the Elder is spawning, and now you just gotta be so careful, because any misstep could spell Elder to the side of Piltover. And just a reminder of what this best of 5 means: if Piltover win this, they do get to stay alive in the championship
Mundo
race.
walking
And
up
now
into
Uncle
the bush
Isma's
for
gonna be able
Olimar.
to grab the Mundo, and he just takes so much
Mundo's health
damage.
bar is just
Uncle
gone.
Isma's taking a lot of damage. Isman takes a lot of damage in return. He's got to be careful. Mega Inferno Bomb going to come out over the top, but it just doesn't do enough damage. Both of these teams jockeying for position, and Gumatsushi's just going to get blown up. Scatter the Weak is absolutely massive, and that may just be the soul. Miracle Steel is going to be needed. Uncle Isma's on the front line taking a lot of damage.
There goes the
Bardo
Bard
over
ult.
the top lands massively, but Censor's already dead, and the soul goes over. Rest of the fight's going to begin, and Kevin has the GA, so he's going to be able to resurrect. Cat Bandito gonna go down. Expert gonna go down. Down goes everyone, and Piltover are in full control.
Oh, with an early game, as they had, the fact that they have been able to adapt so unbelievably quickly to the enemy team comp and absolutely take over control in these objective team fights where it matters the most. This match is one hell of a comeback story right here. And it feels like there just won't be another fight. They destroy these turrets so unbelievably quickly. There's just not going to be another fight, and that is going to be the Nexus going down in game 1, ending with an absolutely insane team fight into just a push and end for the Piltovers.
My hair and my headset hate me, but yeah, that was, I mean, it started off so bad. It looked like Absolute Shurima were going to pull everything off, but then he just got to the team fighting stage, and the fact that they didn't have a good primary engage, and all the other issues just really shone through. And for Piltover, a comeback win in game 1 puts them up 1 in this grand finals. But it's not over yet. It's a best of 5 for a reason. We're gonna head to a short break, and we will be back shortly for the second draft.
See y'all in a bit.
Oh my god, fuck that. Welcome back, everybody, to Runeterra Rising. What a first game that was. Back and forth all throughout until the final blow. But now we get ready for game 2, where it's going to be a completely different story, thanks to our best friend, Fearless. I'm your caster, Shadow Dweller, joined alongside me is Cinco. And I gotta ask you, Cinco, what was the most shocking part of that first game?
I mean, to me, it was mostly just the Qs that Morgana was landing. I won't even lie, those Qs were just so vital in a lot of those earlier team fights where, yes, their team fight was good, but they just didn't have the damage to compete with such a fed Caitlyn. The Morgana's Qs catching Caitlyn out not once but twice, Ozzy was on something.
Yeah, Ozzy was definitely on one, and my goodness, thank God he was. He was so clutch for the side of Heimer Ding Dong. But speaking of clutch, how can you not point out Cat Bandito? This Caitlyn pick, I mean, it started out so strong, but unfortunately, it just fell apart later on.
Yeah, I mean, the Caitlyn pick was unbelievably strong, and in the early game, they were doing a really good job of facilitating Cat Bandito into being able to just allow her to play. But it's just unfortunate to see that later on, anybody who was initially in charge of allowing Katito to play just got absolutely shredded the moment that they walked up. So they just didn't have anything to allow.
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta especially shout out Magikarp. He started out, honestly, he started out inting, and then he had the biggest turnaround where his Scour of the Weeks were just so clutch in so many different scenarios, whether it was keeping them at bay or setting up an engage in choke points. I mean, it was an absolutely beautiful job out of him, especially to bounce back after a rough start to the game.
Yeah, I mean, the game started with them just hunting this Syndra down, even if, I mean, to be completely honest, with the amount of focus getting thrown at Syndra here, it is an absolute miracle that, you know, later on, as you said, these scatter the weeks, didn't matter that Syndra didn't have damage just yet, because that setup was all they needed. And then throughout the game, Syndra kept getting more golds, and then those Scatter the Weeks went from just being some setup to absolute nukes that wiped people off of the map.
Yeah, it was definitely a great bounce back, especially just to have the mental fortitude to bounce back there is so huge. But
of course, especially versus a Caitlyn.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting. I'm so excited for the second draft. What are your expectations for the draft?
I think now, if I'm on the Shuriman team, I'm thinking, okay, our pick heavy comp didn't particularly work. They adapted quite fast. Let's run it back, go with a bit of a more standard comp, front to back, strong ADC, huge burst in the mid lane, try to play a bit more of a safer comp, because obviously, yeah, we saw how that pick comp can work in the early game, but we also saw just how badly it can shatter.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw the power of the team fights. I mean, there were definitely team fights that were unorganized from the side of Piltover that looked really bad. But once they got it together and really locked in, that's when it was looking really good.
I mean, yeah, it's just the power of how. I mean, one thing I will say as well is I feel like the damage that was getting dished out was majorly on targets that, yeah, Ziggs threw out ult onto the backline of Piltover, doing a lot of damage. But those backlines on Piltover can still do a lot of damage from so far away that even though they were on 30%, 20% HP, it didn't particularly matter because, Caitlyn didn't have access, Ziggs didn't have access, all their damage dealers. Trundle would get shredded the moment that he walked up. A lot of their fights were, you saw it start off, one person on Shurima takes a lot of damage, Ziggs ult goes over, all of their backline is, crippled, but it didn't matter because obviously, as you were saying, they don't have a trigger, they don't have that person who goes in, uses an ability, and everybody knows, we go now. They didn't have it, and because of that, even though their backline did get quite low quite a few times, maybe some of them dying, they always took out one or two people with them. And it was just rough to play because if you don't have access, what's the point?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And the thing is, the Bartle was the main engage, and it wasn't always used as an engage. I mean, there were some beautiful Bartle stopping Drakes and stuff, but the problem is it was not always used properly or at the best time. And I also think you saw a lot of oversteps from members like Dumasushi. So I'm really going to look at him to make sure he's a lot more careful with his positioning in the second game.
But going into drafting once again, we see some of the same bans coming out. Darius Talia, obviously. Urgot Anivia, obviously.
Sammy, get away
making
from your sister,
sure
Sammy.
that Isma doesn't get to play the Urgot that
Sammy.
very, very, very comfortable on. And then also making sure that Ozzy does not get to play the Anivia, which I'm pretty sure Ozzy, she has, 300 games this season on Anivia alone?
Yeah. The game
want to see,
will be back
see
up
Yorick
shortly
ban
for
as well.
game 2. Whoa.
But this time we see the Pantheon ban. Oh.
Pantheon was banned the first game. But, we see an Ivern come out. That's going to be a lot of fun. Fastest clear time in the game. And, I mean, this could be so much fun.
I mean, especially with
gambling
experts
will
swapping
be back
into
up
the jungle.
shortly. Yeah, and then the Smolder in response, I mean, Smolder's just the strongest champion in the game right now in this patch, so it doesn't surprise me to see it insta-picked.
Is she still?
I
mean, they got
right
a
now,
good cleaver interaction. I think it's mostly her crit build right now. They giga buffed her crit for some reason, take power away from her, from Smolder's, what's it called, Bruiser build. I'm pretty sure they redistributed that. So, Smolder's just an absolute nuke now.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see, especially because it's lower bracket, you get a lot more opportunities to hit champions with your abilities, but a Callista coming out in response in a Scion, I don't really like the Callista pick into an opposing ADC that can be much more ranged.
I mean, we say that, but if it's a good Callista, right? Stacking your spears onto a minion, just immediately being able to Q and shove that out onto a Smolder makes it really hard for Smolder to sit behind these minions.
Yeah, and then an Ahri picked, honestly, not surprised. Ahri's just all around a good champion. and is a safer blind pick in the mid lane. But in the side of Piltover is just proving they're not really afraid to blind pick the mid lane here.
We see a Mordekaiser ban this time. I'm pretty sure Mordekaiser went through last game, but after seeing Mundo get taken, they're thinking, it seems like they're planning on picking their top laner after these, and they're just making sure that a lot of these top lane picks that I assume are going to counter the champion that Heimer Ding Dong's top laner want to play is just out. And that's the power of locking in your mid laner early. Obviously, because you've locked in your mid laner, you don't really need to worry about bans anymore. You're playing it.
The thing is, though, I'm a bit confused because we have a Scion on the board. Unless they think this is Scion mid, I'm a bit unsure why they are banning top lane. And we'll have to see it when we get into it.
I mean, just looking, we have a Saturn and Olaf, both champs that would be good into a Scion, so I wouldn't be too surprised if this is a Scion top.
Yeah, and we see a Nami picked. Nami Smolder, I don't know how good the lane is, but I think it's fine. I think it's definitely manageable.
What are we going to see locked in for the Shuraimans? Jax. That is their top laner, I'm pretty sure, and we're going to see a Scion mid.
Oh boy.
I mean, not confirmed just yet. It could be Jax jungle, Ivern support, Scion top, but no, we'll get to see that confirmed.
Yeah, now we're just gonna have to wait for these last two champions to be picked.
Here it is.
This is okay.
MF. This is an MF mid. It's an MF mid.
No, I think it's MF. I've seen my diamond friends run MF support a lot. This could be MF support, but based on how last game went, it will be MF mid.
I'm pretty sure this is an MF mid.
And then a Malphite to round
there we go.
Channel points in. Don't forget to put your channel points in for gambling, but this is going to be an interesting one as everything's a bit out of order. NA production, but we're gonna have to wait and see exactly what the lane assignments are once we load into the game. But I am perplexed by this draft from Absolute Shurima. But
I mean,
who knows?
It is devastating. It is absolutely devastating to see for the Shurimans. This Malphite lock-in is going to be absolutely devastating because if we're looking across the board, MF, AD can go AP, but that's more so our support build, doesn't really have the damage. Jax could also go AP, but still does a lot of physical damage as well as a lot of attack speed. Scion, AD damage, Callista, AD damage, and Ivern doesn't particularly dish out damage. This Malphite is devastating for the Shuriman team.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the thing is, I think I just prefer Heimer Ding Dong's draft again. Guys, make sure to put your channel points in. You only have a short little bit to do it, but I'm excited to see how this is gonna go. But I think this is just gonna be better team fighting prospects again for Heimer Ding Dong.
I mean, I think that definitely on the Heimer Ding Dong side, they do have stronger team fights in general, but I feel like the team fights for Shurima should not be as weak as the previous game because you have a definite go, you have a definite trigger. Scion ult. Ivern stuns, Jax E going in with multi-person stuns as well. You have these things which are essential to be your indicators to go in. So I feel like these team fights could be a lot closer than they were last game.
Yeah, it'll definitely be better, but the thing is that's scary is there's still not a great go button. The thing is, the Scion Ultimate I do not like as a form of engage because it relies on you to have good accuracy with it, and it's kind of readable. Ivern stun and Jack stun, obviously, I mean, you know they're coming, and if they whiff, I mean, Absolute Shurima do have some more engage buttons this time, but I'm still nervous. And for the side of Heimer Ding Dong, I mean, there are so many clear tools for engage. One of them being the engage button, aka Malphite R. So it's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think Malphite is just an absolutely golden pick for Heimer Ding Dong after seeing the rest of this team on Shurima. It is... don't really have anybody that can dish out consistent AP damage unless you go with a wildcard AP Jack in the top lane. You know, don't really have anybody that's going to be dishing out a lot of AP damage like, you know, the Ahri is going to be doing. So this Malphite's just going to get to stack so much armor at a certain point, you're just not going to be able to kill him at all, even with multiple people hitting him.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. I do not see this going great for the side of Absolute Shurima, but as we get into this, we officially find out the lane assignments, and it's a Scion support. That's not one I could say I've seen before. Going to be interesting. And MF mid, I've seen it before. It is definitely not bad, but also it can have its weaknesses. But ladies and gentlemen, this is game 2 of the lower bracket grand finals. Heimer Ding Dong are fighting to give their team Piltover a chance at the championship still. And for Absolute Shurima, they look to play spoiler and get a little bit of revenge for game 1. Game 2 is now underway.
I mean, just paying close attention to the early jungle pathing once again. Last game we saw both junglers pathing away from each other, so we didn't really see too much fighting over the scuttle. However, this game we see both junglers pathing upward, and it looks like we might have a bit of a fight over the scuttle, because obviously before it was just Ivern clear so fast that he's on that scuttle beforehand, but now that scuttle spawns around 255 after both junglers will have already cleared completely. We might be seeing a fight over it.
And I'm gonna point out some things right now. First off, Expert, so Expert and Center have lane swapped, but what I'm gonna point out is it is Grasp Scion support, and there is no lethal tempo on Guma Sushi. Questionable decisions, but we're gonna have to see how it plays out here.
I mean, it is just... I mean, we've seen them nearly pull off quite questionable decisions before, so who's to say that they're not going to be going for something crazy this game as well, but are they really too sure about, once again, a funky team comp where they have to play the game a little bit weird in order to get their triggers to go off when Piltover is playing such a safe team with such clear engages? We do see...
And yeah, I was gonna say real quick, I'd just like to point our attention towards the summoner spells. This time, all of them are about even, except for the ignite on the Scion and the heal on the Nami. But Pizza Kyle is going to be here in the top side. BMW having to burn his flash early.
I mean, I was just about to say, with the top scuttle, because Jarvan was looking for that gank, did get the flash off, that does mean that a double scuttle is going to be going over to the Ivern, though, which, you know, for this first Drake, could be huge, because this means that as long as Ivern completes his full clear, he's gonna have a 1000 smite, and Jarvan's gonna have a 600 smite.
Yeah, and I mean, and obviously, the Ivern can be weird to play around. I feel like you don't see it all too often. As over here, it's going to be the same plan as game one, which is gank Magikarp in the end of time. But this time, it doesn't quite work out. And I feel like this R is going to make it so it's a bit more survivable when these ganks come forward.
Yeah, I feel like the decision to put Magikarp onto a more mobile mage now is absolutely phenomenal, though, because we saw how badly that Magikarp was punished for playing an immobile mage like Syndra in that first game. Honestly, taking a lot longer to come online than, you know, realistically Piltover would have wanted. But now that they're playing Ahri, they've hit level 6, they have their R. They can really just get away from anything as long as they hold their R and aren't greedy.
Yeah, and I forgot to ask you, what is your highlight lane here? What lane is going to decide this game?
Oh, well, I'd like to say it's not going to be really... I don't think it's going to be any of the lanes. I think it's the jungle here that's going to really decide this game, because obviously, yes, most of the damage is going to be dished out by all these laners, but with an Ivern and a Jarvan is really, really good at engaging and forcing these fights to happen with his EQ, as well as the ult, locking people down. But Ivern is really good at engage, disengage, and sustain. So I feel like it's just gonna come down to who's better at pulling their trigger.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. I think this will be decided in the jungle, but I'm especially too looking at the mid lane, because you cannot ignore what happened in the mid lane last game, where it was Shurima perma-ganking the mid lane and putting Magikarp 3,000 gold behind, 10 minutes in or whatever it was. And I mean, while that gold lead never got back in Magikarp's favor, he was so important. He was just constantly getting 3+ person scatter the weeks that were so important. And then obviously Ozzy had such important Morgana Qs as well. But I mean, you think back to how many times Magikarp caught multiple members in a choke point with the scatter of the week, and you just really got to be careful about grouping up this time if you're Shurima.
Yeah, I mean, so really just thinking about, you know, how the main thing that they need to be looking out for with grouping up specifically is going to be this Jarvan, mostly just a Malphite. But after the Malphite R comes out, if they don't have flashes, if they don't have movement abilities ready to immediately try to get out of the Malphite engage, they're just going to be chain CC'd over and over again with Malphite R, Nami R, Jarvan EQR. It is going to be absolute hell the moment that they say, yeah, we're going in. So if they do ever get caught, it is a question of do you have enough resources to get out before the rest of this thunder comes through? And we do see Ahri using the teleport to get back to lane early, so that is going to be giving Katito here the teleport advantage, with the first Drake being up. And we're not too sure if either teams really want to take it just yet. Both teams look to just be full clearing, and we have Expert walking up into the top lane for a gank, pulling out Daisy, chasing down this Malphite, trying to make sure that even if the gank doesn't result in a kill, really just being able to bait Jarvan out of a really just an absolutely terrible experience inside a terrible experience with the wave state inside a top lane. So being able to bail Jax out so that he can get a reset is really nice. Also see some light trading inside of the bot lane for now. And it looks like, okay, last game we had the Piltovers just giving over the Void Grubs in turn for getting the Drake, but it looked like this time they want to make sure that they get those Void Grubs. They're going to be pushing down and getting those Void Grubs with 3 people on top of it. No real way that they can contest, unless... No. Malphite's gonna walk up top and really make sure that this Jax cannot walk down in time, just zoning everyone away. And once again, some trading going on, but I don't believe it's going to convert into anything. But we do get the MF ult coming out, as well as the Malphite ult. Forcing out the Malphite ult, just giving Jax a little bit of an easier time in laning phase. And here we have Burst Blood finally coming out 10 minutes into the game. And it's going to be Kumatsushi on Kalista being able to pick off that Nami. Kevin Kong seems to be in a precarious situation now without that Nami, but we do have Ahri rotating down to bail them out. Gumayusi on less than half an HP, using the barrier, try to get out, using Kallista's kiting, but it's just not going to be enough because of the Ahri rotating down. It looks like we're going to be seeing just Gumayusi going down. But with Gumayusi going down, 4 people inside of the bot lane right now, that could just be first Drake getting handed over, which would be absolutely devastating for the Shuriman team, losing both the Void Grubs and the Drake. But looks like they started it, thought about it, and decided not to go for it. We see Jax in the top lane being forced to flash out, and Malphite does not have anything to follow up, but Malphite is still looking with that wave coming in. He's going to be taking a few tower shots with that passive coming in just in time to make sure that he doesn't take too much damage from those turret shots. Here is Experts ganking inside of the top lane, and Malphite once again going to be needing to use... I don't think he needed to use the ult to get out there. I don't think Expert Boga had the damage to do it, but, you know, just in case he decides to pop the ult, play it safe, and get his base in. And here we finally see the first Drake being taken by the Piltovers. The Piltovers saw the Ivern in the top lane, decided, yeah, if we're gonna take it, we take it now when they don't have the smite. Very good decision. Jarvan flashing away from the Jax landing the stun anyway with an absolutely amazing dash onto them, but Jarvan's going to be EQing out. Is it enough to get Jarvan out though, or is BMW going to have the Q to get over? There is the Q to get over, and Jarvan goes down to BMW. And it looks like the rest of the team is just playing it really safe under the turret now. They've gotten to their safe point. They don't really want to be pushing out too far. Ahri being forced to pop the ult to make sure that she gets away. Maybe a bit preemptively? Maybe a little bit preemptively from Ahri, but better safe than sorry. But once again, we see, even though objectives this time have been going over to the Piltovers, once again, Shurima has been able to create a 1k gold lead, a lot of that being in the support and the mid lane. And we know that we know from last game that Shurima really does like to play around this mid lane getting strong, and especially with an AP MF, that is very, very nice poke. It's good to see some AP coming out from Shurima, being able to make sure that there's somebody who can deal some damage to this Malphite, or else he would have been a huge problem. And Center going for some vision here, getting stunned, getting caught out, but because he is Sion, he's just able to tank so much damage and walk away from it basically scot-free. Looks like Malphite... It looks like BMW really does not want Malphite getting this play. It's going to be taking quite a bit of damage just to make sure that there is no space to walk up. And Center getting an E onto both the Nami and the Smolder. But they're just out in time. Kalista's not there to be as quick. And Gumasushi being forced to use the barrier with Nami's ult going out, getting caught out, and Center also being forced to flash away from this Smolder. Not looking good in the bot lane, it is not. Even though the goal lead is towards Sion, still just both those HPs are way too low to accept anything right now. And speaking of HP bars, we have a dive going on to BMW, watching him start to recall. In the moment that he feels safe that he can get out of this situation, that's when Jarvan hits the EQ. And unfortunately, it looks like that is going to be first turret going over to the Piltovers, completely neutralizing any CS lead that there was. And Sion just ulting right past both Nami and Smolder, not really forcing a fight, and Ahri being forced to flash inside of the mid lane because of the MF ult. We've seen Kha'Zix once again be able to put a lot of pressure inside of this mid lane. Whenever we've looked into the mid lane, we've seen that this Ahri hasn't been on very healthy HP and being forced to use a lot of sums just to survive the laning phase.
Yeah, and it's just like last game where Magikarp really didn't have a good time. We need to see a better start from him. He obviously finished strong, but you don't want to start bad yet again, as Expert will be here, and Ozzy's just finding out about this as he has to flash away.
I mean, yeah, there has just been an insane amount of summoner spells coming out, especially inside of the bot lane. Now bot lane is really struggling because here we don't have a flash from Sion, but we also don't have barrier for Kalista here as we go into a little bit of a fight, a little bit of a scrap. The ult is going to come out from both Smolder and Nami to make sure that they do not get this dive off. Smolder using that ult to make sure that that wave gets cleared quickly. And it looks like Bandito is going to be getting caught out by this Ahri a little bit for overextending for some damage onto that turret. With Ahri popping the ult, there's just no way MF can get away.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the MF going into a more mobile mid laner is, yes, she has the passive, she has the W, but it's not always enough to really get away, especially from dash champions. And you just see the punishment there from Magikarp. A great job by him, and now it's a 1k gold lead to the side of Piltover. And I mean, as this goes on, we see this next Drake coming, and the Drake stacking, something that's so important. We saw how the Drakes really determined how the last game went, but the problem is the rest of the team is going to be surrounding around this, as the bullet time will come through, but the smite in response is just so well done, and everyone's going to be able to get out. And with the Malphite teleporting back to the top side, he's not going to lose too much CS to this Jax, but because BMW did not have his TP to come down, unfortunately for the side of Absolute Shurima, they couldn't quite fight it. And now, I mean, the thing is, as this goes on, you can see the CS differences really across the board, but the only good one for Absolute Shurima being the mid lane, and it's what you'd expect. But the rest of the CS differences are going to start to hurt as things are just going to get worse. And honestly, you think about the team fights and how those can go, and you really got to wonder what Absolute Shurima have in their bag of tricks for these team fights, as Cat Bandito is going to need a little bit of a trick to get out of this. He's going to be knocked up by Isma, and the counter just comes just not in time from Experts. I mean, he was there to counter it, and he just could not do enough in the face of the CC chain thanks to the charm. And unfortunately, this Ivern pick has just not been working out the way you want it to. As this game goes on, I mean, I feel like this is just going to get worse. I mean, you can see the usage of the Scion ultimate is not going to be able to land. It does get some damage, and Isma is taking a beating up here, and this is the good thing about this Jax. It can lay down a ton of damage, and you need to be careful of that damage, because if you get a little over ambitious, it's very easily punished. And I mean, you can just see now that Isma just can still sit in the lane, and that's the thing. And there's a reason everyone was excited about this Malphite pick, is Magikarp's going to flash charm, but it's going to go awry, and unfortunately that's where the gank will end due to the miss. A great movement by BMW to put on his tap dancing shoes and dodge out of that one. I will say something important to note is this Smolder is behind schedule stacks wise. At 177, you can keep track of it in the top right of the player icon on the right side. But I mean, Kevin has not been as efficient as you'd maybe hope he would be. And so maybe it gives a bit more time over to Absolute Shurima, but it still feels like once he hits that, it's going to be relatively unplayable for the Kalista, as he's already down 1.3k gold. And while he has a kill to his name, the thing is just going to be so difficult, especially playing into the comp that he is. I mean, the Smolder and Ari can just dash, they can get out, they can play range, and then obviously you really don't want to be close range with a Malphite or a Jarvan, as that is not a fun recipe for success. As speaking of recipes to success, maybe this is it going around, but the bullet time is going to be used, but it's just not enough damage. I mean, they set the trap, now they're trying to spring it, but the problem is the spring's jaws are not snapping shut, and actually Center's the one who gets bit as Mom comes down, and they can go for just a little bit more. Center's got to back up, but Pizza Kyle's here, and he's going to be able to find a kill. Second one, third one, and everything falls apart for Shurima, as Center's undying wish will not be fulfilled, as the kill goes over to the mid and the ADC, as this mid lane tier 2 will fall, and Piltover are 5k ahead. Okay, guys, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Baron's being taken. That's okay, we give it up. We then, hold on, stick with me here, chat. This is winnable for Shurima. If you pull out the wallets and just hand them over, maybe Piltover walk away and quit the game. Okay, hear me out on it. It's a potential. And they will actually elect to fight this Baron. BMW going to be diving in. He's found Ozzy Sauce, but Ozzy's still not dying. Finally dies to the bullet time over the top, but BMW is still in a lot of danger, and he's just going to die. Expert going on to Kevin, but the problem is this Smolder's ramping up. Gumasushi trying to get out of there. Senta keeping them at bay. Mom comes down. Isma is going to pick up the kill, and everything's falling apart for Shurima. They did not, in fact, offer them enough money. Absolutely brutal. The good news is the Baron is not going to be claimed, but you gave up all of your lives for it. That is just so brutal, and things are just not going the way Shurima wants it to go. And just a reminder of what this means for the overall championship. If Piltover take a win here, it comes down to the third place match and for the middle bracket, where if Piltover win that match, they win the championship. But the thing is, you need to win both series. So Piltover, while in a great spot, cannot let their foot off the gas for even a second.
Right, and as you were just saying, it has been absolutely devastating for Shurima, once again getting caught out. In this game state, 7.4k gold down. Looking across the board here, this time, a lot of this gold isn't just concentrated in one or two champs. It's spread evenly across everyone. Everyone on the Piltover's team is just stronger at this point. 2.7k to the Smolder, 1.6 to the Ari, 2.5 to Jarvan, 1,000 to Malphite. Across the board, it is just hard to find anyone that's weak on this team right now, which, once again, when you're playing a funky team comp like the Shuriman team is doing, it just becomes increasingly hard to find those opportunities to engage, because there's not really a good target to engage on right now. Everyone's a bit too strong.
Yeah, there's just not a good angle. I mean, you look across the board at the gold leads, there's not really a good member to go onto, I guess, besides Ozzy. But the support not going to be worth much.
And here we have Bandito being forced to flash away just because of the amount of damage that was done by simply a Q and the flares going off from Ari's ult. Is enough to take Bandito down to, what, 2/3 HP? Just going to show how deadly the amount of damage that this Ari has.
Yeah, and
a very major turning point, if we do just take a quick look at it. Smolder has hit the execution range.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some way back into it for Absolute Shurima, but there just really isn't. Because now Smolder's past the execution range. I mean, the game just got 5 times tougher, and Baron's going to go over now, too.
I mean, with Baron going over, it's unfortunate to see, because first game we had something so unbelievably close, but it feels like this time Piltover said, that game was way too close for our comfort, let's lock the ever-loving fuck in and just get this done. Looks like that's exactly what they're going to be doing with collapsing onto Jax inside of the top lane. Daisy does go out, but we have the Jarvan on top of Cat Bandito. Jarvan getting knocked up here and there, but it doesn't look like anybody on the team has the damage to be, you know, just bursting people down in these small windows that they have to deal damage. And there goes out the Malphite ult onto the back line. They all go up, knocked up into the air, and there comes the rest of the team to just collapse immediately onto them. And that is going to be the top turret going down, and potentially even a tier 3. I don't think they get to end off this because, you know, we're still so early into the game. These death timers aren't long enough to be ending, but they could if they go for one more fight. They're just so unbelievably strong. It's not the last team fight, but it's a pretty telling team fight for how this defense might go for the Shurimans. Immediately, Jax just gets bursted down. The rest of the team is here, but it's too little too late. All 5 players of Piltover are on top of the Nexus. Everyone else is here, but it's too late. The Nexus is just going to fall, and that's going to be the game 2 going over to the Piltovers, making it 2-0.
Yeah, that was something, ladies and gentlemen. And I mean, there's a reason you're watching the lower bracket. You are watching it for the drafts like that. Definitely an interesting draft, but now Piltover are a game away from winning the championship for the lower bracket, and that will put your team one step closer to the overall championship, and you absolutely love to see it. Oh, yeah, I'm honest. I think both me and my co-caster are shocked at that draft and how that game went. But speaking of how things went, we've got a little something coming up for you guys to tease you for the summer. Tuba, run the clip.
Sit down and listen up. Let's change the world.
No, not this again. No.
Stage fright? Never heard of it. You can't keep your song inside.
I promise you, I'm a jungler now. I don't play support now.
We're all looking for meaning.
Even after we found it!
Ready to sing again.
Give me the mic, boys. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the, correct me if I'm wrong too, but this is the final, right? This is the lower bracket final. It is the final. It is, I believe, depending on how this result goes, it will be the decider for the regions on who is gonna place first. We do have one third place match to go that might be that might change some stuff, but right now, Demacia, obviously, they won in upper, they won in middle. They're currently in the lead. And Piltover, well, they're one game away here from actually securing their first bracket win. And they will also need to win that third place match in the future to try and take the win off of Demacia. But let's talk about this series today, Shadow Dweller. How are you feeling about the games? Obviously, I've come in here. I'm replacing Cinco because something came up for him. But tell me the tale of the two games we've watched so far.
I mean, game one was a bloody back and forth where I watched two teams play past the beer bottle of victory. Neither team wanted it. They just kept losing team fights until eventually Piltover won. Then game two was an interesting draft out of the Shurima side that unfortunately did not work out. I do need to check. Tuba, are we saying what the pause was for? So we do have officially what the pause was for. I know everyone was upset and waiting, but essentially both teams messed up. You know a bit more about it, Jack.
I was going to say, let me cover it. Essentially, there's a logistical issue in terms of how people submitted their rosters. The semantics of the situation caused for both teams to either eat a penalty or they could sack the penalty, and so it became a very lengthy discussion on what they wanted to do, trying to work that out. We have finally concluded that neither team will eat a penalty. We're currently waiting to get into draft, as we know that Absolute Shurima are going to be moving Cat Bandito into the AD carry position, and Guma Sushi will be moving into the mid lane. So currently, the side of Piltover lower team, they have a little bit of time to kind of prep themselves because they may have not prepped for Guma being in the mid lane. They need to check him, scout him a little bit, see what's going on, and then we'll be getting into draft as soon as humanly possible. But if we talk a little bit more about this matchup, it has been, I caught most of game two there, and I think it's fair to say game two was kind of a shellacking. They had that was a rough one there. But you know what? The draft was really rough for the blue side. I think the Absolute Shurima drafted themselves into a massive hole. They drafted 280 carries with Ivan, which is inherently kind of a good thing. He's someone who builds a lot of items that really help 80 carries kind of go. He has the ability to make them, be invisible with the brush tech, right? He's very good with kind of protecting his ranged carries. But then MF built AP, and I can't say I've seen an MF AP build in easily like the last 3 years. I kind of felt that it didn't do too much. And so, Shadow, tell me a little bit about how you felt about that game too, because it was a fairly one-sided affair.
There's no feelings about it. I definitely had a part of my soul ripped out, if I'm being honest with you here. But for Shurima, they need to bring this one back, and they need to do it in a different style. Obviously, they're switching Cat Bandito to the ADC role. Maybe this is the change that they need, but the mid lane ADC picks we're working at the start of both games where he was able to build gold advantages. It's just the rest of the team that really fell apart. And so, I mean, I need to see all of Absolute Shurima step up here going into this game 3 if there's any chance of a reverse sweep.
No, 100%. I agree. I think moving these two players around, hopefully Guma has a little bit more of a control mage kind of palette, right? Because I think Cat Bandito in this game so far, or in the series so far, she's been really like relying on the AD carries or on these kind of immobile, ranged artillery type champions. We've had the Caitlyn come out, we've had the MF come out. And in game 1 against Syndra, it wasn't that punished from my understanding. I think that it was only really in the late game where they were getting punished on side lanes, because it's hard to side lane as an AD carry, which, you know, inherent kind of weakness of the role. But in game 2, you know, we just saw the difference between, you know, putting like an artillery kind of champion like an MF in front of someone with so much mobility and so much pick potential in the Ahri that it didn't matter if they had built a lead in lane, because Spirit Rush Charm combo doesn't matter. You're dying. What are you going to do? You try to flash, and once your flash is down for the next 5 minutes, you are susceptible to every single Ahri engage. And so, you know, I think that's maybe just a bit of a champ diff there, to be honest. Like, you know, like philosophically, I don't think that lane goes well for the MF 9 times out of 10. And so, but that's not to say that I think it's just the champions. I think Magikarp's been having a really good series. If we bring ourselves back to the draft, Cat Bandito was one of the most expensive pickups, if I remember correctly, in the lower draft. I can't remember the exact point value, but I know they were up there. And so for Magikarp to be able to outperform in game 2, at least from what I watched, I think they outperformed consistently. Game 1, you could tell me a little bit more, Shadow Dweller, on if it was a clean outperformance in the mid lane. But yeah, I think that moving Cat Bandito out of that mid, allowing them to play the AD carries that they seem to want to play here, will be a wise choice. My eyes are going to be on Guma to see what he can do in the mid lane, to see if he can kind of mitigate Magikarp here, who's been having a really good series.
Yeah, what I'm going to say about it is, in the first game, it looked great. It looked like this is why you pick Cat Bandito, everything in between. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. And then, unfortunately, for him, everything kind of fell apart. I mean, he kept getting caught out by Scatter the Weeks, and it was beautiful. My hair will not cooperate with me today. Thank you very much. But as we get into this, it's time for the third draft. We have a ton of champions who are
be happy you have
bench.
her. You know, it might not cooperate, but you've got it. I'm kind of on the mend here after winter. But let's look at these bans here. As we're going to see Absolute Shurima go for what I think would probably be their bans most of these games, right? And Nivea away from Aussie Source, Urgot, and the Yorick away from Isma. You know, Aussie is, I wouldn't call her a one trick anymore, but she is known for the Anivia, right? It is her most played champion. It's the thing she slams the most in solo queue. We've seen her play other stuff for sure. Like, you know, I'll be interested to see if we maybe see the return to the Poppy gaming in game 3 here, because that was something she did exceptionally well on in mini LCS winter. But then we just focus our bans topside. Isma is the highest ranked player in the lower bracket right now. He is Emerald 2 peak. He obviously signed up at below the threshold, but, you know, he's a borderline illegal within this bracket. And I think we've seen time and time again in these games, he has been consistently one of the most powerful top laners in lower. He has been spearheading Heimer Ding Dong to wins, oftentimes off his own back. So, but as we see these first couple picks come in, so we got Kayn immediately locked in for Tuba. Do we have confirmation? Is it Expert in the jungle? It is Expert in the jungle this game. So Kayn B1 for him. And then we got the Volibear Sivir pick up here for Heimer Ding Dong. So that's going to be... Volibear could be for Pizza Kyle, and it could be for Isma. It could be either right now. It is pretty flexible. Sivir, you know, safe pick here for the AD carry of Heimer Ding Dong there. I believe Kevin Kong, right? And nice kill lane here picked up for Center and Cat Bandito with the Samira and Nautilus. So they're going to be going straight for that kill lane. Someone in the Twitch chat said, and Shirima have already been outdrafted. Holy moly. Yeah, going into the Civil with a Nautilus might be hard. I agree. We also see what looks like the Poppy pickup. So damn, I'm on a psychic one today, you know? Just everybody know that if you wanna be psychic at the draft, just do an entire shift at work beforehand. And then that level of delirium will give you psychic powers for the draft. Hold on.
Now, I need to ask about your psychic powers. Is this Volibear going top jungle? Is this Poppy going top jungle support?
It's going jungle. Look at that top bands. They're removing tons of top laners here, which I think means that they're probably looking to R4 their actual top laner here, which means how well do they? I don't know. Because no mid laner has been picked up here, no top laner has been picked up. All of our stage 2 bans are given to top side. They remove Set, Olaf, and Renekton Mordekaiser. So I'm interested to see the Olaf ban, considering BMW has played a lot of it. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, it is going to be the R4 top here. So Isma's going to blind Zahen here, which, you know, not a bad champion. Someone who can hard carry in the late game. So it really fits Isma's kind of profile, considering the weight he needs to carry on his team, right? You know, you get that champion with 2 items, and he is fiendishly strong. So can be super dangerous there in that top side, and we'll be interested to see what BMW is going to take into it, as it looks like we time out. They look in the Orianna here, so we have a little bit of team fight combo here. Literal last second pickup there for Gumo on the Orianna. So what kind of top laners are we looking for here? So many of them are off of the board right now that I think I can't actually name a champion I know BMW plays that would be good into Zahen and not currently off the table. So is Trundle available? Trundle's not that good into Zahen, but it might be the pick.
No. Trundle's
they go for the Tom Kench.
And then
so Tom into Zahen.
The mid lane.
Ooh, Magikarp on an assassin. Okay. Interesting. So is that definitely locked in here, Zuba? Or are we riding is locked in? Okay, cool. So in that case, let's have a look at our 2 teams here. Oh wait, no. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. They're rage baiting us. They're rage baiting us. Is it Volibear top? I think that's a lock. Okay, Zahen jungle, Volibear top. Interesting. Okay. So let's look at our individual lane matchups and see how we feel about them. I'm going to start with the bot lane, because I think that the bot lane really, really relying here on Absolute Shurima, on Cat Bandito and Center just being better than Kevin Kong and Ozzy. Because Samira Nautilus into Siva Poppy, it's like any time you throw a dredge line, she brings up the W, you can't do anything. Was it Steadfast Presence, I believe it's called. So if you Q in, you get denied. You try to line Q on the Siva, she spell shields it, you get denied. Center's job in this game is incredibly hard. And the range on Samira is quite similar to Siva, so it's not like she has a range advantage. You know, they're going to be both within range of each other at any given time. So they're going to be really looking to just outhands them. It's the only way they win. Like, it's not an easy lane for them, you know? So they're just hoping to just be better and just kind of win the lane that way. Otherwise, I think that Ozzy and Kevin here on this Siva Poppy, they have quite a safe lane. They have quite an easy lane. If they play it safe and they get that Siva to 3 items, she should just be able to take over the game. And that's kind of the case in the jungle here too. I think that Kayn is stronger than Zahen early. His level 1 through 3 is significantly stronger at dueling than Zahen will be. It's really hard for Zahen to kind of build up his passive in the early game because he doesn't have that damage. He kind of needs to hit multiple targets or be in a really prolonged fight. So I want to see Expert being inside of Pizza Carl's guts. Like, he needs to be in that dude's jungle, counter-jungling him, pulling camps, taking those chickens every single 2 minutes. Because if he's not, once Zahen gets to that 2-item power spike, when he has the Triforce and when he has the Sundered Sky, it's going to be really hard for Kayn to do anything. Kane is going to be a drain tank, but you know what? Zahen excels in those kind of those like extended fights. He's going to have Conqueror. He's going to be ready to kind of take those exchanges. Top lane, I think, is very favored for the Volibear. What I will say is, at least for the first game in the entire series, it looks like Tahm Kench or BMW has good runes. Although, am I the only one, or did the entire thing just kind of bug out there? Okay,
Yeah,
okay, cool. On the bright side,
what I'm gonna say about Uncle Isma in the top lane here is he has been the master, and I mean, we've been here for quite a long time. It's been 3 hours. I know everyone was not happy with the extended break, but maybe the master of the top lane can someday set me and all of us free from this match. I mean, he's been just absolutely phenomenal and has really been just such a factor and presence. And so honestly, I'm really interested to see how the top lane goes.
yeah, I think lane theory wise, it should be very safe for Uncle Isma here. Tahm Kench, obviously, he has his two health bars, but like he is, the way he wants to trade is by getting 3 stacks and then being able to land tongue lashes. And in the time it takes him to get those, as you just saw in that quick trade there, you know, Uncle Isma on the PTA Volibear, he is going to burst like half of the Tahm Kench's health and force him out of lane, right? By the time he gets 3 stacks on the passive for the Tahm Kench, he's already lost probably a third, if not half of his HP. And this is kind of the power here of the Volibear. If you don't have hard CC to lock him down and you don't have it immediately, he can just out-sustain. You know, the W, the E, they give him so much more effective HP, and it allows him to build like a DPS champion as well. You know, he doesn't have to build tank stats. He can build AP, he can build like attack speed stuff. You know, he might be going for like the Dusk and Dawn and the Flicker Blade, because the more he gets those abilities up, the tankier they kind of just outright make him, you know, in a kind of 1v1 scenario as well. It's really where Volibear shines. So I think that Tahm Kench's job in this game is going to be to survive lane and then be a meat shield to try and make sure that Guma and Cat Bandito can get their DPS out effectively. I don't think he looks to win lane here. I don't think he can, to be honest with you. I think he just tries to get as much gold as he can and kind of take it to the team fights, save his ultimate to be able to keep his primary carry safe, and you know, kind of just weak side it to the max here is the only way I can really describe it. We haven't spoken too much about this mid lane matchup, as we're going to see the E come out by Ozzy, but Ozzy's going to have to flash away, and not much else there in that trade. It's gonna be a little chill. You know, there's a little bit of a lead here in the bot lane, 7 CS, not too much. Kind of expected. Again, the early presence, especially with that level 1 hook that came out of center onto Ozzy. Another hook there lands onto Kevin, but that's the exact thing we spoke about in draft there. He lands the dredge line, and he gets caught by both of their protective measures, right? The spell shield means he doesn't actually pull Kevin into him. And then the steadfast presence means that he gets bounced and knocked back himself just for trying to land the hook. So it's Center has his work cut out for him in game 3. But I've been informed it is his really kind of most confident main on the support role. So, you know, if he was gonna perform on any champion, it should be this one. So keep our eyes peeled on him. But yeah, Shadow, how are we feeling about this early game so far? Hold up, this
real
dive.
quick, I was gonna say, if you're gonna go out on any champion, you want it to be your main, as the top and mid both get kills at the same time. And the crazy thing is, there was a gank into the mid lane, and you still walk out not only with your life, but with a kill. And honestly, what's been the key to Absolute Shurima starting off with good early games has been putting pressure onto Magikarp in the mid lane, getting kills early, and getting what was Cat Bandito going. But I don't know how easy you're going to get that this time. And with the switch up, it's definitely such a different game.
No, I agree entirely. Cat Bandito is still ahead, you know, again, to be expected. I think probably for our money the best player on Absolute Shurima. Senta's gonna try another hook here, and in comes Bandito. Gonna get good damage here onto Ozzy, but the Ignite is now ticking onto the Samira. Samira's gonna go below half HP. Kevin has no mana though, so Kevin can't do much here. You know, Sivir is one of those champions where she is an attack speed AD carry, but her abilities are super important. They make her a lot of her damage in team fights and in these kind of exchanges. She needs to be able to land the boomerang. She needs to be able to land the bouncing blades. Although Pizza Carl might be here for a gank, I don't think they're aware of it.
Yeah, and this is a very dangerous position. You said this bottom lane was going to be rough, but Center's just going to have to give his life. He wants to try to find a kill, but it's just the ADC picking up a kill. And I got to ask you, when the early game is just not going in your favor, like how this one has, what do you really need to do to bring it back?
So, in this instance, I would say it's kind of rough for the Samira and the Nautilus. They need to be ahead. Like, they're the types of champions that they kind of have what I would refer to as like the Hylissang effect, which is where if I'm ahead, I'm going in. If I'm equal, I'm going in, because if I'm equal, I need to get ahead. Really clean on the steal there by Expert. Very nicely done there. He does have to give up his life, but do you know what? That's the first positive thing that's come out of this game for Absolute Shurima. Very clean steal there for him. I'm sure we can't see all chat, but I'm sure he said something in there. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones after the animosity between these two teams that he's definitely said something in the all chat right there. But either way, back to the topic at hand, which was how did they get back into this game? Delaying that soul, I think, is a very nice way to get themselves back into this. You know, Expert, he hasn't had much in the way of contact in this game, which is not a great thing for Kayn. He really wants to start hitting people, to start collecting souls, to be able to get to his, you know, either Rast or Blue Kayn. You know, sitting there and farming up a storm is not always the best option when it comes to playing the Kayn. He is very good at farming, don't get me wrong, but again, it's about trying to get to that Rast transformation as quickly as possible, and so I'm surprised we haven't seen him gank mid or top as much as I'd imagine, because you know they're both melee champions. They're people he can farm orbs off of. Obviously, top lane is kind of a difficult one because I don't even think they win the 2v1, but it looks like they're gonna send Orianna up here. We do see BMW is going to eat him. We put the ball on, so this is going to be a combo if we're going to get the shockwave. Ultimate's going to come out by Isma, but Guma does collect that kill. And nice team play here from the side of Absolute Shurima to get themselves the first kill of the game. Hook is going to come out onto Kevin, but then Center is just caught lacking again. There is nothing he can do here. And as we move towards these grubs, we see the first grub has been taken by Expert, but Expert's going to get exploded there by Echo. Level 100 Magikarp is going to just force Guma away. BMW is here, going to try to W in, but can't land the knockup. And it's going to be 2 grubs over to the side of Heimer Ding Dongs. And Echo just is really commanding in this one. Meanwhile, bot lane, we're seeing a messy fight here. They jump here onto center, but Cat Bandito is in the fray now. Watching to see if she can get S tier. She does get it. She will be able to ult if she can find the angle, but there's not enough space. I think if she was able to dash in there, maybe she could have got a double kill, but just no target to dash to between Ozzy and Kevin. So ultimate used, but nothing gained, and 1-0-1 now on the Sivir, who with a Cullen inventory, it's really what you want to see if you're Heimer Ding Dongs right now. They're looking real happy about this.
Yeah, and right now that 2.2k gold lead is, I mean, it's going to be just a nuisance to try to chip away at that, because obviously you've got some losing lanes, like the top lane, like the middle. The Orianna into Echo matchup is not the most fun for the Orianna. It's not a horrible matchup, but it's one that you have to play with heavy precision on. And because, I mean, you saw what Magikarp does. You can just blow people up. And speaking of blowing people up, Expert's going to be in a lot of danger here as he uses the ultimate to try to buy a little bit of time, but he's just going to die to Pizza Kyle. And just all lanes are really not going the way they want it to go for Absolute Shurima.
No, 100%. This is super rough here. The only lane that is even at parity right now is the bot lane. And the bot lane really needs to be ahead. Like I said, the Samira, she does not scale as hard as the Sivir does. It's a fortunate fact here that she is on Collector. So if they're going to make something happen right now for this bot lane, they need to do it now in the space between Samira having first item and Sivir not, right? Sivir has opted to go for Berserker's Greaves here. She's looked for the tier 2 boots instead of finishing her first item. You know, knowing that she's going for the scaling, I guess the movement speed here means she's going to be that little bit better at dodging these stray hooks that are coming from center. And so, you know, I really like that build here from Sivir, but it does kind of tell us Cat Bandito and center need to find a way to pull the trigger here. They need to find something, even if it's not in their lane. You know, we can shove the wave. They have push, like they can just shove in and then maybe look mid, try and punish this melee mid laner. Guma's not going to be able to do anything to Echo on his own now because Echo has 4 kills. Magikarp has Dusk and Dawn. He's got a level lead, an XP lead at the moment. Not quite a level lead right now. They're both at level 9, but he will hit level 10 first. And so they need to mobilize this bot lane while it is ahead and see if they can mitigate some of these leads that are showing up in the top and mid side. Speaking of leads, Uncle Wisma's going to get himself his 2nd kill of the game on a turret dive there that was very cleanly executed. So punished again here is the top lane. BMW gonna have a hard time. We see Expert came in there, but he got sent immediately away with the hammer. And now, awkwardly, they're just in turret range and everyone's too low, but Cat Bandito is gonna commit and she just gets out. What is that, like 10 HP in a dream? Genuinely impressive that they get out with that. But again, this is the kind of stuff we need to see from Shurima. They're going to have a hard commit, though, from the side of Jaime Ding Dong. We see Pizza Kyle comes in. We see the TP from Isma. I believe someone had to give their life there, but am I tripping? Who did they kill? Did they kill Nautilus? Yeah, Nautilus is 0-3. So they killed the Nautilus, but we now have a 1.2k gold lead on Samira. You know, the BF sword is there. So we're stacking so much AD right now on Samira. And we're still not on that first item completion for Sivir. So this is the angle. This is where we need to play through. Sack this dragon. No one is here for it. There's nothing we can do. But let's see if they're going to maneuver some of their players around here. As I imagine quests should be coming up, right? I don't know if we can see exactly who has finished their quests right now. But, you know, at this point in the game, I would imagine at least 1 or 2 players should have finished their quest. As Guma is gonna get popped by Magikarp. Full combo there from the Echo, just obliterates him. Hook comes in from center, but they're unaware that Pizza Kyle is here in the background. And Cat Bandito nearly got S. He is 1 or 2 autos away from getting it. Gonna pop the ultimate here. And Pizza Kyle is gonna try to ult himself to keep himself safe. He's not quite got the fully stacked passive, and so he will go down. But in comes the difference maker here, which is the Echo. Echo is going to flash in E onto Cat Bandito, and the entire side of Jaime Ding Dongs come in to secure 2 extra kills. And Guma's in base. He had to take a reset. Oh, sorry, he didn't even take a reset. He died. So just really clean roam there from Magikarp, and Magikarp is really making a case for best mid in lower bracket right now. If you take this series into account, I mean. They are having series of their life. But he's not getting gapped by Cat Bandito.
When he's not getting gapped in the laning phase, sure. This is actually his first game not getting gapped, and that's because he's playing an actual mage in the mid lane. But now you can see Magikarp coming swooping in. Pizza Kyle's here to cover, and Guma Sushi is just on the wrong side of history. And I mean, things have been falling apart from the start. We will get a pause, but they just continue to fall apart.
Ah, hell no, boys. As if the first pause wasn't long enough. They bring us back for some more technical issues action. Let's get it. No worries. We don't quite know what's going on. I was gonna ask Tuba, but personally, can we maybe cut to a tiny little break so I can go and refill my drink? Oh, it's not gonna be that long? Hell nah. Someone in the Twitch chat said their money is on a rage quit. Crazy work. Sir, a second pause has hit the rift is also crazy work. Well done, son. Yeah. Call the maid.
Really,
what kind of money do you think I'm on, Luis? What the hell? Crazy guy. I live in a bed sit, dude. I don't have space for anyone, let alone a maid. Must be crazy. Oh, I've been informed we're gonna get to turn my camera off so that I can abscond to the kitchen and refresh. Enjoy yourself, Shadow. You're on your own now.
Oh man, you know, chat, I had plans for the day. Not anymore. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait for this pause to finish. Day 0 is just grabbing some water, but I mean, what a championship it has been so far, and just a great display of excellence from the side of the Piltovers, and you gotta feel good about it if you're them, especially with how big of a lead this is. I am unsure how this one's going to be brought back. I hate to say it, may take a miracle. But I gotta ask you guys in the chat while we wait. What's the best part of your day so far? Are things going well for you? Tell me something good, because I've been sitting here for 3.5 hours and watching some interesting League of Legends. Me back. Day 0 is back.
Hell yeah. Not back on stream yet, but back. Oh, there we go. I have respawned. Do you want me to? Oh, you want me to? Okay, I can do that. I've been informed while we wait for this pause to go down, Tuba wants his vanity project to come back on screen. So, unless you guys are prepared for some low shutter speed Tuba action, sit tight because we're gonna get some more mini LCS promo. I love to see it. When you're ready, drop the tune.
Is it 1400 yet? Can I slay it yet? Is it 1400 yet? Is it 1400 yet? Is it 1400? Can I slay it yet? Is it 1400? Is it slay it? Is it 1400 yet? Can I slay it? Is it 1400? Is it 1400? You fucking missed! Fucking missed!
I was not ready for that. That was great. Tuba,
Straight back into the action, baby.
Individual video for that. Tuba, send me the video for that.
Yeah. This is the spaghetti code special. You love to see it. Got to love.
Oh man.
Well, I love them putting me getting violently abused.
I gotta ask
in
you, Day 0.
Yeah.
Day 0.
Have I still got bruises?
How are you
Yes.
gonna address the masochist allegations?
Oh, I don't. I'm a jungle man. I am a masochist. That is. I also have an incredibly large victim complex. I have to mute every single person in every game I go into, because whenever they say anything negative, I assume it's about me. So yeah, bro, don't you worry about that. These are things that I deal with between myself and my therapist.
You victim bastard. League of Legends is your therapist. What do you mean? As it's clearly the therapist for all of us.
Therapy in 2026 is too expensive.
Maybe not a great one. Yeah, no, exactly. No. But
speaking of therapy, though, I think Guma might need some. He is 2K down.
Keyboard hits. Yeah, definitely. And speaking of
I'm not gonna lie to you. In the
another hit here.
He's dead. Defo dead here. No way he gets out.
Massive shockwaves.
Okay, never mind. The 3-man! 3-man shockwave is crazy by Guma. I think
you gotta be
he actually gets
here,
out.
Blinking health bars.
Crazy work there for Senta to
but
get
no,
out
Magikarp wants to go under the turret, and he'll get him with the ignites. Cat Bandito was bullying him the last couple of games, but no longer.
Very cleanly done there by Magikarp there. Not gonna waste any time there. Got the exact amount needed as well. But it's looking like a dive angle here as they pop the heralds there. And sorry, I'm losing my mind a little bit. I'm gonna see a little bit of a 1v1 go off in the top lane. And yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie, I was dazed and confused due to the trailer, but it looks like no, understandable. Caught me off guard. I was like, oh, they're gonna do the tuba trailer again for sure, and then I just see the me trailer and I'm like, fuck. Especially because, by the way, we haven't done an Aaron trailer yet, and we ain't doing a Eunice one because this guy's AWOL. So I just get abused for fun on the internet, dude. Just is what it is. Echo here gonna look for some play onto Guma, and I think Guma can maybe not get out of this one. Expert is there to maybe see if they can try and keep their mid laner alive. We're going to see the Shockwave come out, but immediate ultimate from Magikarp is going to keep himself safe from that knockup. And the lion's share of the damage from it as well. So nicely done there by Magikarp to keep himself safe. And we kind of 6.7k gold lead right now for the side of Haima Dingongs. And in comes Isma. Gonna take a chunk of Cat Bandito's health, but it's such a hard game here right now, as we're gonna see they might be able to kill Ozzy. Ozzy pops the flash, but it's not gonna be enough. Tom Kench is gonna take it, but they're gonna trade that for the Drake here, and now in the 4v5, this is gonna get really messy. Cat Bandito's down immediately, and now I think blue side have to escape this one if they can. Guma throws in the ball, but there's nothing to really get from it, as Expert's gonna go down. And then, yeah, the ultimate here from BMW is going to keep Guma safe, but not the way you really want to see that team fight go. It looked like it was starting off well for them, but they bit off a little bit more than they could chew. So, unfortunate there for Absolute Shurima. And it is pretty much gold leads across the board now. Even the Sivir, 5-1 and 3 right now. Kevin is ramping up right now, so it's looking a little bit dire, I think, for the side of Absolute Shurima.
Yeah, right now, I mean, the gold lead is just absolutely massive. I really can't see a way to come back from it, especially when Isma is just running the rift like this, and BMW will get away. His teammates are in the local area to help reinforce, but it's just not really gone their way. And I gotta ask you, if there's any angle back into this for Absolute Shurima, what must they do?
I couldn't tell you right now. I don't see it is the problem. I think that their bot lane needed to be ahead to be able to have an impact here. I think that from behind, Samira and Nautilus have a really hard time being able to do something. Kane still hasn't hit his transformation yet at nearly 20 minutes. So, oh, sorry, it is in fact exactly 20 minutes. So he has the Voltaic Cyclo Sword and he went for the Green Smite. So we can safely say he's probably going for Rust. But the fact that he hasn't hit it yet is really bad here for them because... Oh, has he? Am I tripping? I might be tripping. We'll see on this W. Oh, no, he has got it. Sorry. It's the skin that made him look like he was still regular Kane. That's on me. These goddamn cosmetics. In comes Zahen though. But yeah, as we were talking about these team comps in draft, right? And like I said, if Zahen gets to 2 items, if Kevin Kong on the Sivir gets to 3 items, I thought that this team would have a really hard time, and they have gotten there pretty much already, right? You know, we've got most of the second item built here for Pizza Kyle, and we're gonna see immediately comes down the ultimate here for Isma, and he is trying his hardest to kill here. Pizza Kyle is going to pop his ultimate. His passive will go, so all of those resources burn on the Zahen for naught, and Cat Bandito will go down. BMW is going to go down here as well. Pops the gray health, but it's not going to mean anything, and that has got to be just under an ace there. You know, Guma's running with his tail between his legs, 10% HP in a dream. And they're going to turn their eyes towards this Baron. Nearly 11k is the gold lead right now at 21 minutes, and it's never felt more over than it currently does, I think. 23 kills to 4, 4 turrets to nothing. It is categoric right now.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest stomps I've ever seen. I mean, this has been brutal, and honestly, I just wonder how much longer can Absolute Shurima hold out in this one.
I think, realistically, the only way they find anything right now is picks in, like, death bushes, right? So they have the Samira, they have the Nautilus, they have the Kayn here for the knock-up. They have the Tom Kench knock-up as well. If they can secure vision in a particular part of the map, like let's say, okay, Baron is dead right now, but we know that we're going to have Drake up in 35. If they could get control of that Drake area, we can see a nice hook come out here by center onto Ozzy, but they just don't have the damage to do anything about it. And the TP is going to get called in here by Isma. Isma's going to head straight onto that backline, and it doesn't matter anymore. It is so over right now. BMW is going to get run down like a dog in the street as we see Guma get popped as well. Expert's on his own. Captain of the team, going to watch every single member of his team get shot down before he goes last. And it is a massacre here in this lower bracket finals. It's so rough to watch here. It's a 4k gold swing off of that Baron buff power play. They take the inhib, they have the wave, they're feeling confident here. They think they can take the game. We've got a couple people back up. I think this is, yeah, here we go, Cat is up. There's one Nexus turret between them and victory here. Piltover are gonna take this one, surely. Center isn't even gonna move. He knows the game's over. He's KDA saving at 0-7-3, but that is it. Congratulations to Piltover, lower bracket. You guys are the lower bracket champions. There's a good showing there by Isma, by Pizza Kyle, by Level 100 Magikarp, by Kevin Kong, and by Aussie Sauce. You guys are the inaugural Runeterra Rising lower bracket champions. First team of Piltover to actually do it, by the way. I think, obviously, we saw the upper bracket Piltover team. Yeah, they were. So we saw the upper bracket Piltover team. They fell in finals. So, you know, they made it all the way to the last two. And they fell at the last hurdle. Obviously, Piltover in middle bracket, they fell to, I believe, Demacia in semis. And then they are still yet to play their third place match. It's going to be on Sunday night from what Tuba tells me. And then, obviously, as we've seen here in this lower bracket finals, Piltover finally able to actually secure the gold for themselves this time. We are not the bridesmaid here. We are the bride for Piltover. So congratulations to them. Commiserations to Shurima. You guys were the only Shuriman team to make playoffs, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Yeah, the only Shuriman team to make playoffs. Yeah, they were the only Shuriman team to win an actual game, is what you're saying. That is... So all 245 of those points come solely from lower bracket. That is mental. Well, then they can hold their heads high, at least knowing, yeah, cool, we fell at the final hurdle, but they are the sole reason their region is not in last place. They are the only reason their team is mid-table right now. So, you know, that is very well very good showing in for Shurima, for Absolute Shurima there. They did a really good job getting themselves to this point. And, you know, despite literally the rest of their region falling apart, essentially. So, yeah, commiserations to them, but, you know, can hold your head high, even. And now I think we just look up to Sunday, right? So it's going to be Piltover versus Freljord in that middle bracket. So that is Torpavity's team versus Murmur's team, if I'm correct, right? Yeah, nice. So both two teams that I could have seen in the finals, to be honest. It was a surprise that neither of them really got it together. But hold up, someone just said Digital Roses. So wait, was Demacia the only team to take a single game of Piltover in lower? That would be a question for Tuba, to be honest. I don't actually know. He said
Tuba.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and now, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this broadcast has come to an end. Congratulations to Piltover. Make sure to catch the final game. Yes, Jack. Don't make me play the clip again.
Shadow said.
Congratulations
to
the...
is what he said.
Congratulations to the Piltovers for winning the lower bracket. But ladies and gentlemen, that means it all comes down to one game for the championship. Piltover play for the 3rd seed match in the middle bracket. If they win, Piltover win the championship. If they lose, the Demacians win. But the Demacians have their fates out of their control as they've done all that they can. Sunday night, we find out who is the best region of them all in Season 1. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We love and appreciate each and every one of you guys. And make sure to check out Mini LCS upcoming. I believe we have a little clip to show for that for those that missed it the first time.
Hell no, you're not going to run the same clip again, please. Don't do me like this.
Oh, run the same clip again.
Okay.
Nah, Tuba won't let me rage bait Jack again. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We love and appreciate each and every one of you guys. Make sure to take care and have a great night, and we will see you all on Sunday.
Sit down and listen up. Let's change the world.
No, not this again. No.
Stage fright? Never heard of it. You can't keep your song inside.
I promise you, I'm a jungler now. I don't play support now.
We're all looking for meaning.
Even after we found it!
Ready to sing again.